Hey guys, how's it going? I'm gonna go ahead and send out this link real quick, and then we can get started. So I'm also gonna be, I don't know if you guys see this right here. I have my phone right there. I'm gonna be live streaming this on YouTube, on Instagram as well. Just gonna test it out, see how well it works. If it works well, then I'll keep it on. If not, I'll just stick to the normal setup. But let me go ahead and set this room up real quick before we get started, guys. I'm not sure if you guys were watching the chart overnight. I'm assuming a lot of you guys did because there was a lot of crazy movements, especially US 30. I did see some of you guys hit some TPs off that, so pretty nice. But I'm still looking for some scalps here as we carry on to the US session over here. All right, looks pretty solid. Now, let me go ahead and finish up setting this room, guys, and then we can get started with our analysis. So just going. Send this link out real quick. Let's see. Let me get the Zoom link for you guys here in the premium. And then, yeah, US 30 is dropping pretty hard, guys. I'm gonna try to figure out to see what's causing that drop. I'm gonna see what's causing that drop, and then we'll see if there's anything that we can do to take advantage of those drops. Anyways, I think that's it for the links here. I'm gonna post a link on the Facebook and the Instagram.
Go to FedEx. Off.
All right, let me enter the room real quick. A couple other people here. Let me just get this link. Post this on the Facebook. And then one other place here. I think we're good. All right, guys. So let me go ahead and get the live stream going on Instagram as well. 1 second, guys. All right, guys, I think I'm good to go. Got everything set up. Let's see what else we got over here. Let's get everyone in the room real quick. All right, guys, let's get started. So good morning, everybody. Let me check the chat to see if it's working, which it should be. Let me just check real quick. I mute everyone on here. All right, guys, so this is my first time on the Instagram live. I don't know how it works. So if you guys have questions, I mean, just put them in the chat for the YouTube. Let me check real quick to see if it's actually working properly. All right, cool. I have to go get an iPad for this. Yeah, guys, let me go ahead and get everything started. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'm gonna activate the chat right now. All right, so it looks like we're good to go. Looks like everyone's making it into the Zoom meeting right now. Let's go ahead and check out the chart. So if you guys were looking at US 30 last night, I did see that some of you guys did catch that move. Let me check real quick. Yeah, so Gavin over here, he took this US 30 move. So if you guys took that move last night, I think the one that he grabbed was this one over here, where he, I think it was this one, right? Some sell entry that he caught right here. So basically what he did was he entered this, since there was a rejection off the pivot and rejection off the structure, he entered a short position right here for 500 pips. And it looks like it went straight to TP right there. It got close to stop loss, but it didn't trigger it. And it finally hit TP. So I'm not sure if any of you guys caught that, but hey, Sam, I think the chat is working now. I think I just had to activate it, Sam. So it should be good now if you want to post a message in the chat. But yeah, it looks like Gavin over here, it was like about time. That US 30 took a while. So he waited for a while and then he finally got it. But the market's been pretty choppy this morning, guys. Wow, look at this huge drop right here off market open. So look at US 30 is coming down pretty heavy. We're not going to chase that because, like, you know, how you guys know, price is probably going to retrace back up on the following candle. So when that happens, if it rejects back off it and off the pivot, we'll take that sell right there and then we'll continue on. So let me just check the chat real quick and see who's here. Hey, morning, Jermaine. Morning, Skinny. Jermaine said, are you going to go over the K2 Snipe? Yeah, Jermaine, I've been going over it every day. So I don't know if you've been watching any of the live streams, but we literally been trading this every single day. So if you want to go back and see the other ones, it is there. But I'll go over the snipe strategy here as well as we continue on. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Hey, morning, Sam. Morning, John. Morning, Jeremy. Morning, Ches. Morning, everybody. So right now I'm currently just looking at US 30, but let's check out the other indices as well. So the other main one you guys like to trade is UK 100. Looks like everything here is pretty much dropping pretty heavy. So I'll show you the strategy right here, actually, before we get started, Jermaine. It's a pretty simple strategy. I'll just rewind to here because this is the first entry. So basically for the snipe entry, it works for pretty much anything. It's not just US 30, it works for all indices, it works for Forex, works for cryptos, works for stocks, works for everything. Pretty much, I mean, the sky's the limit with regard to this strategy. So this is the K2 Snipe Strategy, which is UK 100. I think the sweet spot for UK 100 is about, I'll check right now. So first, you just want to confirm a wick rejection off K2 pivot, which could be any pivot. Next, you want to confirm a wick rejection off the K2 SR zone. And lastly, you just want to confirm wick rejection off K2 pivot does not touch candle body. Then after that, you can enter on the open of the following candle. So that's pretty much it. That's the strategy right there. So first of all, you want to make sure that there's a wick rejection off the K2 pivot. As you can see right here, this red candle right here rejects off this red pivot, right? So I'm going to mark that up right there. That's the first requirement. The second requirement is that you want to confirm a wick rejection off the K2SR zone. There's a K2SR zone right here. The way I got that zone is that I turn on the K2SR indicator and I identified a zone right there, right? Obviously, so there's a zone right there. Once that's set up right there, you can enter. You just want to confirm that the wick rejection off the pivot, meaning this pivot right here that it rejects off, doesn't touch the candle body, which it doesn't. It just touches the wick here. And after all those have been met, you can enter on the open of the following candle, which would be right here. I believe the sweet spot for UK 100 is about 150 pips, right? From what I've seen before from you guys. So that's the sweet spot right there. Once you let it run from that point, there you go, and straight to TP. So that's pretty much it. That's the strategy. There was a couple entries here as well. There's one right there, and there's another one right before it as well right here. But we'll look forward to see if we see anyone that's coming up. I mean, that's basically what we're looking for here, right? We're just waiting for the next entry. So there's nothing there right now. Let me go over to US 30 again, see if there's anything that we missed. Yeah, nothing here right now. Let's see if there's anything else. S&P. I'm just gonna go through all the indices, see if there's any scalps that we could possibly take. All right, so let's draw these zones right here. So nothing yet this morning for S&P. Same with US 30, nothing yet. It looks like it's getting close. All right, this is perfect. So this is exactly what I just said when the market opened, right? I said we were going to take that sell because I said the following candle right here is going to retrace back up, right? And it's doing that exactly. So price came down, and then as soon as the next candle opened, it started to retrace up. So hopefully you guys didn't catch that drop right there. I mean, this happens. It's the same pattern every single morning, guys. So don't fall for these spikes in price, especially if there's no entry available. For right here, we're waiting for this to come in and retest this pivot right here. If it rejects off the pivot in the structure, then we'll take this for another scalp right over here. We have about 7 minutes left on this candle. So as soon as this candle closes, we can go ahead and take the scalp here. So I'm just going to set this up right here just in case once it does close, and then we'll be ready to take that scalp. I'm going to go ahead and set an alert on this pivot as well, so that it can let me know once it touches it. So we got that set up there. Our USD CAD position that I called earlier, this just hit full TP for 40 pips. It just touched the pivot. There we go. All right, so we just need the wick rejection off the pivot and the structure. We have about 6 minutes left, so I'll be watching for this trade right here for a sell. But if it keeps pushing up, I mean, we're just gonna wait, and we're gonna wait for an actual entry to appear. Let me see if there's anything else here to look at. Everything looks good. Let me make sure my MC4 is good. Let me turn one quick trading. All right, I think set up pretty much for the most part. So I'm pretty much good to go once this actually closes out. All right, so we should be good. So let me see if there's anyone else here. Hey, morning, Ferris. Morning, Hamizan. Nice. Hamizan said, hi, Shawn. I done made 200 GBP today. Feel really happy. Awesome. Congrats. Jermaine said, this is my first time on the live. Sorry. Oh, no problem, Jermaine. Yeah, I just wasn't sure if you sat in on any of the other sessions, but I'll keep going over the strategy. I go over this every day. It's not a one-time thing. I'm going to keep going over it. I just wasn't sure if this was your first time here or if you've been here before. Let's see. Morning, Matt. Morning, Dwayne. Hey, Eric, how's it going? Yeah, so Eric said that's why you buy when it drops. Exactly. Especially when there's a big wick like this. If there's a huge wick like this, odds are it's going to push up. I mean, this would have been a nice scalp back upwards right here because we could have entered this and then hit our TP and then, wait for this next position right here. So we've got about 5 minutes left on this candle. Here's the timer, 5 minutes and 34 seconds. Once this closes, we'll determine whether we take the short position or not right here, if everything fits. Hey, morning, Peter. Morning, Billy. Morning, everybody. So happy Wednesday, guys. We're halfway through the week. It's been a great, profitable week so far. Just looking at everyone's profits over here. Let's see. Looking at everyone's profits here, it's been crazy, guys. Like, just delete this real quick. So Jazz this morning, he locked in about, he sent this at about 6:07 a.m. He locked in about 454 this morning, scalping US 30. Ivan over here locked in about 444, scalping US 30, Bitcoin, German DAX, UK 100. He was doing everything actually. Even Litecoin, he was scalping like everything he could find, and he hit a lot of nice TPs right there. Here's Mims over here. He locked in about Mims or Flynn, depending on who you know who you follow him by, but he locked in about 729 last night. Tam over here is on vacation. Just, let's get it. First trades of the week since I've been on vacation. Was trying to take it easy since it was her wife's birthday. So she locked in 100, 200, 300, about 300 to 400 trading the DAX 30, GA and GJ. So nice work off that. Jonathan over here locked in about 50 bucks. Cameron over here said, my first $1,000 day, K2 ain't no joke, 100%. So he locked in about $1,000 yesterday, trading US 30, gold, and some more US 30 scalps down here. So nice work, guys. It's good to see everyone profit. But you know, today's a new day, so we're here to make some more profit as well. Let's wait for this to close in about 3 minutes. If it closes way up here, obviously there's gonna be no entry. So that's why you guys gotta be patient with these. Wow, look at this huge push up. So the market opened right here at 630. It dumped about 1,100 pips, and then from that point, it shot all the way back up another 1,600 pips. So we're probably gonna hold off on this entry right now, guys, because it's way too big of a candle. So we're not really gonna want to hop into this just yet. Let me check the chat real quick. Morning, Karen. Morning, Angela. Angela said, good morning, Shawn. What's the K2 Snipe sweet spot for the DAX? Let me just check it real quick. I'm not exactly sure because I don't trade the DAX, but let me look at a recent entry and then I'll see if I can figure it out. Because usually you can just put the stop loss like around where the pivots are, and you can usually catch some nice moves off there. So let me just draw these zones right here real quick. Yes, I know we saw some good entries yesterday. You just gotta confirm them real quick. All right, so here's the DAX 30. We'll go back to see if we have any recent entries. I don't know if there's any entries here. Okay, so this is the first one, I think. I mean, I'm only going for the clear one because I'm trying to get the sweet spot for Karen over here. Or Angela, sorry, not Karen, Angela. So Angela, right here on the DAX 30, if we were to enter this, because this would fit the requirements, right? We have the rejection off the pivot, we have the rejection off the structure right there. If you were to see this, this would be a sell entry. So we'd enter a short position right here. It looks like the sweet spot would be about, it probably would be about around 150 to 200. 200 might be pushing it. So let's try 150 first, or let's just try 200 first. Because that would be an entry there. Let me see if there's another entry over here. All right, there's another one right here. I'm just gonna see what the sweet spot is for this one off these candles right here. So the sweet spot for this would probably be about, all right, so 150 looks like the sweet spot. It's gonna be between 150 and 200. I mean, either way, if you were to do that, like that would have hit TP with like little to no drawdown. And then for this one right here, if you did 200 pips as well, let's see how this would play out right here. Yeah, this one's straight to TP as well. So maybe around 200, between 150 and 200, you'd have to probably play around with it. Just look at previous entries. Angela, like right here, for example, here we have another entry with all of these cells right here. And let's just see, like, generally the way that I try to figure out the sweet spot is if I was to enter a sell like right there, I would enter my short position right there, and then I would put the stop loss either in the middle of the pivots or above it. So as you can see between this area right here, it goes from 120 pips to 200 pips. So it looks like 200 might be the sweet spot for the DAX since it does move kind of quickly. So just looking at that there, if we were to enter that, obviously we have the rejection off the pivot, rejection off the structure. You enter a sell position there, and then full TP. And then again, same situation over here. We have the same setup. Rejection off the pivot, rejection off the structure, full TP for 200 pips there. And then again, right here, same situation, price retraces back, rejection off the pivot and the structure, and 200 pips right here. So Angela, it looks like it's 200 pips, but you know, we'll have to keep playing around with it to figure out what's the actual sweet spot. But it looks like 200 is a pretty decent range for now. Anyways, let me go back to US 30. This candle is about to close. Oh, okay, so there's an entry right here, guys. If you guys want to take it, all right, so there's a scalp entry right there. I think this is a risky trade, but I might want to take it too. I'll just put a sell stop right there, actually. All right. Damn, dude, my MC4 is frozen. All right, so I don't know if you guys want to take that. It's a really risky trade, so I'm not sure if it's something that you guys feel like, feel comfortable taking. Actually, my MT4 already executed it, so I'm in this trade. I didn't do that. I hate how MT4 is kind of laggy because I hit it like twice and it didn't fill. So I'm currently in the position right now. This is going to be the stop loss TP. Obviously, you just adjusted by 10 pips for FTMO. So the profit target is going to be 31533. No, sorry, that's a stop loss. The profit target is going to be 31433, and the stop loss is going to be 31533. Shit's going to hit my stop loss. Damn, I should have waited off this. It's all good if it does hit though. It's because MT4 is lagging on my end. I was hitting the sell button and it filled me for a market order instead of the sell stop that I was trying to place over here. So I'm not sure if you guys are in this trade. I'm in it because I got in by accident with is this even the right asset? Sorry guys, because I'm on a Mac, so I'm using the web version of MT4. It's kind of laggy. It's not like the desktop version. It's all good. We have some crazy movements right now in the market. Looks like all the indices are moving pretty heavy. Let me check the news to see if there's anything that's really pushing price around like that. Looks like all the indices are red right now. The Dow Jones is red, S&P is red, Nasdaq's red, Russell 2K is red. The VIX is positive though. So we'll see how this ends up playing out right here. Unfortunately, I got kicked into this trade. So I'm currently in it. I don't recommend you guys enter it. I mean, if you guys want to, you guys can. But, like I mentioned, this is a risky trade here. I was trying to enter a sell stop, but it ended up entering as a market order here on MT4. But I don't really see anything here that's really causing price to spike around like that. Aside from FOMC, I know FOMC's today. So they have their meeting at 11, but that's like, it's like 5 or 4 hours away. So we'll see how this plays out. If it does kick me out of the trade, it's completely fine. It happens. And this is kind of my mistake too, guys, because I normally tell you guys that we don't enter these scalps until like an hour or 2 hours later. So we probably should have waited until like the market opened right here, waited until it got to like 7:30 down here before we started taking these trades. Because obviously the market's be erratic, right? There's a lot of manipulation on market open right here. You can see it dropped about 1,000 pips. And then on the following candle right here, 10 minutes later, it shot up from negative 1,000 to up to like 2,000 pip move right here. So just keep that in mind, guys. With these specific injuries that are too close to market open, but we'll see how it plays out. I mean, I'm in the trade. I can't do anything about it. I could close out in negative, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to hang on to it because it could play our way. So that's pretty much that for now. Let me just check the news, see if there's anything else here before we continue. So Bitcoin smashed up to 51,000 right here. Not bad. So that pushed up there. Trump declares war on McConnell, vows to back. Damn, Trump is still causing a havoc right now. It's COVID updates. Let's see if there's anything new here. Let's see. COVID live updates. Leaders call for treaty to ensure. So let's see if there's anything new here. Nothing really all that new. Henry Sheen, CEO, how to make U.S. vaccine a lot more efficient. Hong Kong. So it looks like a lot of places are reopening. It looks like COVID is actually getting better. So we'll see how that affects the market. We'll see how the market reacts to that news. Other than that, let's pull the charts back up over here and let me check out the YouTube real quick. Here, let's see. As far as your USD finally going down a bit after 45 minutes. Yeah, I called a couple trades this morning. If you guys are in the premium, I called a Euro USD sell right here. So it spiked up a little bit on open. Like it was in profit, then it spiked up a little bit on open. And then it looks like it's coming back down. Our USD CAD over here hit full TP for 40 pips. I'll take that off the chart. I was going to call this USD CHF. market's moving a little crazy. USD JPY right here, it was in profit, then it spiked down a little bit. And other than that, I think that's about it. Our Euro Auto over here is still active. If you guys still have it active, it hit TP2 for 25 pips. It's on its way to full TP right here for 50 pips. So these are the current trades that we have active right now. Euro odd sell, Euro USD sell, GJ. Looks like this hit TP1 and then it came down. So if you guys moved your stop loss and profit, you would have gone out in profit at TP1, but it looks like it swung back down after that. So I'll just turn off these alerts right now. Let's see. Just getting back in the room real quick. So that's done. GJ's done. And the last one we have active is UJ over here. So everything looks fine for the most part right now. Let me go back to US 30. Yeah, US 30 still bouncing around. I still have this active right now. It's good for the most part. Let me see what else we've got over here. So let me see what else we got over here. Kushi, good morning, Kushi. Ardonis said, I just made 600 plus on USD CAD per hour using the exit strategy. Made profit on TP3. Nice, bro. So yeah, you hit full TP. Ardonis over here locked in full TP for USD CAD. Congrats, bro. I think that was like one of your early trades, right? Because you just joined K2 last week. So nice work on that. You hit TP on that. So that's a pretty nice profit. 600 bucks. Yeah, how's it going, Salim? Jermaine said, does that snipe work for most other pairs or mostly good for indices because what indices is worth? Jermaine, it works for everything. It works for Forex, indices, stocks, cryptos. I mean, it's really if you have something that you want me to look at, I can take a look at it, but it works for everything. It's not just indices. Kirsten said, every trade signal we took today we have lost. Which signal did you take, Kirsten? Because I mean, most of them hit TP. So if you took, let's see, I'll go down the list over here. So we had UK 100 at 220. That was sent this morning. Let me see if there was an update here. It hit break even right here. So I'm not sure if you're following the exit strategy that is advised, but all of these hit TP. I'm not sure which one hit stop loss for you. Our GA position hit TP. Our GJ position hit TP. Like make sure when you're looking at this, Kirsten, that you read this right here. It says, remember to use K2 exit strategy to eliminate risk if possible. It's warranted every single signal over here. And I mean, if you watch the videos in the course, it's explained there too. So I'm not sure if you're not applying it, but I mean, even if you are, some of them are hitting full TP. And I mean, everyone here is hitting profit. So I'm not sure what you're doing wrong. I mean, if you want to send your list of trades, we can take a look because you're probably doing something wrong that's causing it because everyone here is hitting TP, right? Like Jazz. I mean, there's some losses here. There's small losses here from time to time, but most of the time, like everyone's hitting wins. So I'm not sure if you're, GA over here for Tam. She's on vacation. She hit TP for GA and GJ right here. Same with Cameron over here. So I'm trying to figure out, what you're doing wrong. Kirsten, because I know you just joined K2 like last week. So I'm not sure if you're actually following, what's advised, or if you're taking the signals wrong, or I don't know. I need to figure out what you're doing wrong so I can help you. But yeah, I mean, if you guys have any questions, or if there's something that you're confused about, then you can let me know. Otherwise, here's US 30. It's back in profit, so looks good for the most part. Let me send my alerts over here. So my US 30 is still active right now. US 30 scalp number 1 TP. Scalp number 1. All right, so I'm still holding my US 30 position right here. I'm currently in profit. It's not a lot, but I mean, it's slight profit right now. I'll just keep holding on to it to see if it comes down. If this ends up closing right here, how it did over here, this should just be considered another entry. So there's another entry there for the sell. It's a double entry right there. We'll see how it plays out from here, but I'm going to keep holding on to it to see how it plays out. Anyways, let me see if there's anything else here as well. Yes, Yusuf said insane Insane spike. Yeah, I agree, bro. This US 30s moving pretty crazy. I should have just closed out when I was in profit, but I mean, we'll see. I'll just let it play out because I'm already in the trade. There's like nothing I can really do at this point. So I'm not gonna pull out in negative. Nice. So Eric said, yeah, 200 is pretty solid for the DAX. So Eric is one of the guys that actually trades DAX. Angela. So if you want to reach out to him in the premium, he actually, let me see. Yeah, so these are Eric's profits from the DAX yesterday. He was selling the DAX. He made about 200, another 200, another 200. So it looks like his profits are around that same area. So if his profits are around the area, he's probably using, 200 pip TP because he's getting around 200 pips profit each trade. So it looks like 200 is a sweet spot for the DAX. And then, yeah, pretty much the same for US 30 over here as well. Anyways, let me go and check to see if there's anything else here before we continue. Let's see, Dennis said, glad I didn't take that trade down. Yeah, and this push-up is crazy, guys. I didn't mean to take this trade here. I was going to put a sell stop at the MT4, put it in as a market execution. So I'm using this web app over here, so it's kind of, I don't know, it's weird. It's kind of laggy. So sometimes it'll fill, sometimes it won't. But it's all good. Whatever happens here, it's fine because I'm going to be taking the next one. It's not like a big deal that we're in this morning trade right now. Let me see if there's anything else here. Eric said, Shawn, I'm going to be testing a theory on open of US 30 and put a sell and buy limits for this reason exactly. So you take profit one way, take profit the other way. Yeah, I used to do that before too, Eric. It's risky though. So you got to be on point with if you're going to be applying that. Because what could happen is if you have both orders in both ways, it might trigger one or the other. And then you might get kicked out of that in both directions if it spikes both back and forth like a whipsaw. Anyways, Rich said DAX is a nice rejection of the pivots on the 10 minutes. So let's just pull that up real quick. Yeah, so there's an entry here for the DAX as well, actually, off this red one. So there's another entry here for the DAX. Tempted to enter this. But like I mentioned, we should probably hold off until the market smoothens out because the market's just bouncing around way too much right now. So I'm probably going to hold off on entering this. I mean, if you guys feel risky, I mean, this is the entry that would have been available. But I'm probably going to hold off on it right now because it's just, the market's just moving too erratic right now. I'm going to wait for it to smoothen out probably around 7:30. So once price gets around 7:30 over here, then I'll start looking for scalp entries. Because I entered this one like way too early, this US 30 position. It was just, it was way too premature. But it's all good. I mean, shit happens. Hopefully it hits because that'd be better. Anyways, let me check the chat real quick and see if there's anything else here. Angela said, yeah, Angela says, when there are two structures in both directions, you enter a scalp. I see US 30 and DAX at 8 forming candle forming. Let me check that real quick. So Angela said DAX 850. I think you're Central Time, right, Angela? So I'm gonna try to see if you could 850. So I think you're 2 hours ahead of me, which should be 550 my end. Okay, so you're talking about this candle right here, right? So for this candle right here, this one, if this was to like say for example, this was rejecting off a pivot, right? Obviously it's not right here, but if it was, I would still take this for a sell right here. This is fine when it's rejecting off two structures. The only time when it's not fine is when it's rejecting off when there's entries in both directions. So let me see if I could find one here. Let me see. Yeah, I don't see one here. I know I saw one for US 30 like a while back, but let me just see if we could find one over here real quick. No, there's nothing there. But basically what I'm trying to look for is yeah, there's because it doesn't happen too often. I mean, it does happen every once in a while, but it doesn't happen too often. And what I'm talking about is So I'm just gonna make up a trade here just to show you, for example. So, or let me just find one. There should be one around here somewhere. Let me see. Because I've seen them come across, maybe not for the DAX, but I've seen them come across for the US 30 every so often. So all right, I'm just gonna try to make up a trade here. So I'll just make up a scenario so that you can see what I mean by that. Okay, so like, no, this wouldn't be a good example. Okay, so I'm just gonna create an example here for you, right? So just say, for example, that the pivot, say there's a pivot rejection over here and there's a pivot rejection over here. So there's both a buy and a sell. If that's the case, then you would just skip that trade because there's just too much uncertainty for that. I'm trying to find an example, but I mean, you kind of get the gist of it where, like for example, here, if this was rejecting down here off the pivot and rejecting off the pivot up here, and there was both a structure below and above it, then you would just avoid that trade. But for example, over here, the example that you were looking at, this is irrelevant. The reason this is irrelevant is because, oh shit, so the DAX trade just hit full TP, guys. If you guys took that DAX that I just showed you guys, so the one I showed you guys, if you guys want to rewind that I just called out earlier, if you guys took it, it just hit full TP for 200 pips. Yeah, so it looks like the market's going where it's supposed to go. It's just, I mean, it's just moving kind of slow. Let me check my US 30 as well. That's so weird that the DAX is dropping, but the US 30 is still up. Because normally US 30 follows the DAX. All right, well, whatever. If you guys took that trade, you know, you would have hit full TP. I didn't take that trade, unfortunately, I should have. But I'm just gonna be careful because I'm still stuck in that US 30 position from earlier. But anyways, for this right here, Angela, if this happens right here, you just ignore the bottom because there's no entry down here. This is irrelevant. You just kind of ignore this. Like I would just delete that because it's, you know, obviously we're looking for sell entries here as we get these rejections off this point. But if that was the case, yeah, then you would just avoid this and you'd only look for sells because the main requirement is the pivot rejection, right? That's number one. The number one requirement is the pivot rejection. The second requirement is the K2SR rejection. There's no requirement where this comes first. If there's no pivot rejection, then there's no entry. But if there's a pivot rejection and a K2SR rejection, then there would be an entry for that. All right, so that's it for that. Let me check real quick for, all right, so we don't have a valid entry here for the daily entry yet. I'll be looking for the daily entry as well for the people here that are looking for that specific trade. But yeah, I mean, the DAX looks pretty solid if you guys took that trade. Maybe it's something I should look at more often too, because it looks like the trades here have been hitting for the most part. Let me go ahead and take a look at, yeah, Matt mentioned, Shawn, it seems DAX is more reliable than UK 100. I agree. I personally don't really like the UK 100. I mean, you guys do hit profits on it, so it works, but it's not something that I necessarily prefer to trade. All right, let me pull up over here real quick and see if there's anything else that I'm missing. Dennis said the best way I take profit, say for example, if there's 3 TPs, I make 3 entries in MetaTrader. I split them up by lot size between, all right, so the US 30 scalp hit stop loss, guys, unfortunately. Like I mentioned, there's a ton of manipulation going on right here. You see these big wicks off these candles. So if you took this DAX, you would have hit. If you took the US 30 position, wow, look at this spike up right here. So it's all good. I'm going to eat that loss and I'm going to move on to the next one, obviously. So we'll move on to our next trade over here. Yeah, it's all good. So over here on US 30, we're going to move on to the next scalps. Yeah, that's a huge spike up. So it's all good. You know what happens? That was an accident there. I wasn't supposed to get into that trade. I probably should have exited when once it dropped back down, but unfortunately I did it. So it's all good. I'm gonna eat that loss, and then I'm gonna move on to the next one. So now price is above the pivots. What I'm probably gonna be looking for is for this to come back down, retest the structure and the pivot, and then when that happens down here, I'll just take a buy. But I'm gonna wait for the market to stabilize first. Obviously, this isn't normal market movement. Because you can see right here, this is normal market movement where it's like just moving slightly, right? During London session, it moves about maybe like 300 to 500 pips. This is normal market movement. This is totally different. This is when the market opened right here. It spiked 1,000 pips. So that's 3 times the movement. And then from this point, it shot from down here all the way up here for 2,000 pips. So obviously you can see that there's some market manipulation going on right now. I don't see anything going on in the news causing price to really spike like that. Generally, if price is going to be spiking like that, something's going on, right? But obviously there's no updates here on CNBC. And on top of that, the FOMC is not until 11. So obviously something's pushing price around right now. And it's all good because even though price is pushing around, we'll just wait for the next scalp entry and we'll cover this loss that we just had right here. But yeah, so that's about it for that right there. Let me check if there's anything else before we continue on. All right, so Kirsten said, I will private message you. I have not seen some of the updates, and every time I say to put stop loss to break even my partner says not to. Yeah, I mean, guys, it's really up to, I mean, it's up to you guys how you guys want to run, you know, your positions, how you want to actively manage them. I mean, obviously you came from a place like you came from Epic Trading, so it's a little different there. I mean, you know, I don't know how they teach wherever you came from, but risk management is the most important thing. You can't just keep letting trades run and then praying that they'll hit TP, right? You have to use proper risk management, and you have to get used to moving your stop loss and profit when it's time. Because if you don't, you know, you can end up with some losses. Obviously, everyone else here is doing pretty well, and the updates show up in the premium signals channel. So if you go here, there, I mean, all the updates are sent in all the groups. So it's sent in the premium signals channel, it's sent in the trade talk, and it's also sent in the chat as well. Eric hit some nice profits off US 30. So he took some scalps off US 30, took some scalps off gold, and then DAX 30 this morning as well. So nice work, Eric. You guys can see Eric here on the YouTube chat if you guys are in there. So I'll just save that to our messages here. And then we'll be posting these later. So if you guys have any profits you guys want me to send in the public groups, obviously you guys can see here. I share everyone's profits in the public groups. So if you guys want me to share yours, just send them over to me or send them in any of the groups, and then I'll save them for the daily post. So that's pretty much it for that. Let me go ahead and take a look at the chat real quick and see what else we've got over here. Billy said also it closed with an invalid buy, so next will be a sell. So it's can very well work in our favor. Yeah, I know, Billy. That's what I was hoping for. Unfortunately, you know, this is a huge spike. Like, this isn't normal for these candles to spike like nearly 1,000 pips both ways. You know, obviously, if you look here, if you back up, you can see that the market is usually, like during US session, this is usually where it gets heavily manipulated during the beginning of it, and then it starts to smoothen out. Currently right now, these are some pretty big spikes. We're going to be kind of careful with taking these scalps right now. But it's fine. You know, we had a really good week so far. If you guys sat in on the session yesterday, we had about 3 wins back to back for US 30. And then we had a couple other ones for Nasdaq and for the DAX as well. So we'll keep watching this here. But other than that, let me see if I can find anything before we move forward. All right, so Rich said, just hit full TP on DAX scalp for 200 pips. Oh, Rami. Hey, Rami, how's it going, bro? Rami, by the way. Nice, nice. Okay, so everyone just hit that DAX. It looks like a lot of you guys hit that prop for that DAX right there. Let me see if there's anything else. Nice. Yeah, Forex Trader said, I trade DAX every day, way better than UK 100. Nice, nice. Yeah, so I'll probably just stick with the DAX and the US 30. I think those are the 2 main ones that I'll probably be trading indices wise. I mean, they seem pretty solid for the most part. Otherwise, you know, we'll just keep looking for other trades here. Let me see if there's anything else that we can look at as we continue. Karen said, Shawn, can you take a look at Cad Chf, please? Also for scalping Forex pairs. Also for scalping Forex pairs, the 30-minute is the best, right? So Karen, it just depends on how you're trading it. You know, if you're going for the small movements, you can use the 10-minute. If you're going for the normal intraday scalps, then you can use the 30-minute. It's just really up to you how you want to trade it. But I'll analyze Cad Chf for you real quick, since that's what you wanted, right? I'll go from the top analysis and I'll go down to the 30 for some scalps, then a 10-minute. So let's see, Karen wanted me to go to Cad Chf over here. So let's pull up Cad Chf. So I'll just analyze this from scratch so you guys can see what I do from here. So this is pretty much how the chart normally looks, naked chart. First thing I open up is the K2 indicator so that we can draw these zones on the chart. So I'm gonna draw these zones from top to bottom, or from bottom to top. just so we can identify where these rejection points are. So we got that down there, this up here, this right there, this right there, and that right there. All right, so everything there looks good. Once we have those zones drawn up, I'm gonna turn that off. And you can see that we have some pretty nicely drawn zones right here. They go back pretty far. So I drew these zones right now today on the 17th. Looks like price has been within this area since it's been bouncing in and out of this area for a while. So it's been in the same range since, let's see, January 29th, right here. And then it pulled below, came back above here all throughout January, all throughout November, September of last year, and then July of last year as well. So looks like it's been in this area for a while. But I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the momentum indicator right here. So it looks like we have a bullish bias. So I'm gonna use the same analysis that I normally use for you guys. Basically, we identify the rejection from this point. We identify the buy signal right here. Now what we're waiting for is for price to break and close past this structure right here. Once that happens, we can take a long position right here and then ride it up from that point, right? So that's basically what I'm looking for there. It's the same strategy that we look at. It started from down here. We have the rejection from this point. We have the buy signal right here. And then you can see that every time price breaks and closes past structure, like right there, it pushes up to the next structure, right? Price breaks and closes past structure right here, pushes up to the next structure, right? And then it goes both ways. I mean, obviously right there, it rejects off this point, sell signal right here, and then it pushes down to this point right here. So, I mean, it really depends on the bias. Currently right here, we have a bullish bias because most recent signal was a buy signal. Obviously, when the signal changes, we change the bias, right? Because price generally bounces from zone to zone. But just looking at Cad Chf right now, we currently have a buy signal. We don't have a sell signal at this time. So what we would be waiting for is for price to break and close past this structure. Once that happens, then we can possibly look for a buy entry right here. One thing that we would want to keep in mind is the next zone, because you wanted to know where price is going to reject from next, right? So we have that zone right there. Let me check for the higher zones over here. Nothing on the 8 hour, nothing on the daily. And then once we get to the weekly, you can see that the next zone is pretty far off, right? It's about this far off right here. So like I mentioned, when price breaks and closes past zones, it usually pushes to the next one. So if I close this up right here, and then we check this out, let me turn this off right here real quick, turn this off as well. So if we were to take this buy right here, the next resistance would be way up here, right? So if that was to happen, we'd probably see this push up from this point all the way up here for like 60 pips. And that's basically what I see happening for Cad Chf. Let's see the last time that it broke that structure up there. So the last time it broke structure up there was right here. You can see the same pattern that I just mentioned repeating itself, right? So the last time it was in this area was on June 2020. So if I turn on the momentum indicator right here, it's the same thing that I mentioned, right? I mentioned that we identified the rejection off the structure right here. We identified the buy signal right here. You can see that it broke and closed past structure. As soon as it did that, if you took a long position there to the next zone, it would have hit full TP right there, right? It did the same thing that I just mentioned, what would happen here. And you can see that the pattern just repeat itself. I've had these zones drawn today on February 17, 2021. The same entry played out on June 1, 2020. So obviously, if you guys understand how Forex pairs move, history almost always repeats itself. So for example, here we have that entry. If I zoom out to current price, it's getting to that same area that we were just looking at over here. So going back to June again, you can see same setup right there where it broke structure right here and it pushed up. Same thing we're looking for over here. So once that closes, we can take that buy. But until then, we're going to be holding tight until, we get that opportunity right there. But let me go back and check the pairs over here to see if there's any other entries. So it looks like the DAX might be swinging to a buy right here. Actually, no, the pivot touched the body, so there's no entry there. Let me go back to US 30. Yeah, it looks like US 30 is swinging into a buy as well, but it's not. I'm not going to take this trade. So if you guys want to take this trade, you guys can. There's one right there. That's another scalp, but it's not something that I'm going to take. I'm going to wait for the market to actually stabilize first because it's just moving around way too much. It's hard for us to scalp when the market's moving too fast because it can easily spike you out before it goes into profit. Or you might get lucky and it might spike you into profit before it comes down. But there's just too much uncertainty for me to really want to take these trades. But if you guys wanted to take this trade, this would be another scalp entry right here. However, I don't recommend entering it because of how the market's moving. Obviously, our range is only 500 pips, and you can see that each candle is moving more than 500 pips. So it's not going to be a smooth move if you decide to take this trade. So I would hold off on it. I don't recommend taking it, but I just marked it up there just in case if you guys were looking at it. Anyways, back to Cad Chf. So this is my analysis on the 4-hour, Karen. Let me drop down to the 30-minute, and then I'll see if there was any scalps off Cad Chf. I don't think Cad Chf is a pair that I would necessarily scalp because it's such a slow-moving pair. But we'll still look for some entries off it just in case. So let's go to Cad Chf right here. Looks like we had a couple entries right here. So I'm just gonna mark up these zones right here so you can see where the entries were. Have that zone right there. We have this zone right here. Got this zone right here. And a couple of zones down here. So we got this one. And we got this one right here. Actually, we could just connect these as one big one. Anyways, let me go and see if there's any entries here on the 30-minute that you could have, possibly taken. So for example, here, this green one would have been an entry. I don't know if I would have taken that one, but it would have been an entry. So I'll just go back and replay to this area right here from last night. So let's go to the most recent entry, which would have been right over here. So for example, here, if you're using the K2 Snipe strategy, I'll put the requirements here again. It's super simple. Or actually, I think I deleted it actually because I was calling the signal earlier. But let me just see if it's still there. Oh no, it's still there. Okay, perfect. So this is the K2 Snipe strategy again. I'll just take off the actual pair. It works on all time frames. It's not just on the 10-minute. It works on pretty much anything. So for example, right here, we confirm a wick rejection off the K2 pivot. So if I mark this up right here, and just a reminder, guys, I'm just going to the most recent one. I'm not picking out any specific one. This is only the most recent one that I saw. So right here, we have a wick rejection off the K2 pivot, which can be any pivot. It rejects off that green pivot. Second requirement, we confirm the wick rejection off the K2 SR zone. So for example, here, we have a rejection off the zone right here, right? So that's requirement number 1 and 2. The last requirement, you just want to make sure that this wick rejection off the pivot, meaning this green pivot right here, isn't touching the candle body. So it's far from the candle body. So it qualifies for that requirement. Once all the requirements are met, you can enter on the open of the falling candle, which would be right here. And this is a slow moving pair. So it's going to be different. Normally, if you're trading something that moves normal speed, it'll be about 30 pips on 30-minute. But for Cad Chf, since it moves so slow, like I mentioned, I usually just move my my TP or stop loss to like the previous pivot, or I put it right below, which would be about 10 pips. So 10 pips looks pretty solid for Cad Chf scalping. And if you were to take this trade right here with a 10 pip TP and you let it run, obviously it went straight to TP right there with absolutely no drawdown. And that's why we call it the snipe strategy, because it's so accurate and it's so on point with it. So anyways, looking at this right here, this would have been the entry for that. And I think that's about it for this one. I don't see any other entries right here. There's actually one that's available right here, Karen, but I don't know if it's one that I would personally take because like I mentioned, market is being heavily manipulated right now. But if you were to take this trade here, this would have been the markup for Cad Chf on the 10-minute, on the 30-minute. Since it barely moves, I wouldn't trade this on the 10-minute. 30-minute would be the lowest for Cad Chf because even on the 30-minute, it only moves like 10 to 15 pips, from time to time. Even from right here, it took about, it took about 5 hours for it to hit TP for a scalp, right? It's a long time to be holding a scalp. So that's pretty much it for that one right there. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise we will take a look at everything else here. So see this right here, guys, this is why I didn't take this trade, because like I mentioned, the market's being manipulated right now for US 30. It's just spiking around way too much. You're just not able to take any trades at this point because it's going to spike around too much within that range. So I'm going to hold off on these trades right now, and then I'll call them once I see that, the market is actually stabilized. Because obviously we're not going to be able to take any trades if like each candle pushes at least 500 pips, right? This is a 1,000 pip candle. This is a nearly 600 pip candle. The one next to it right here is a 800 pip candle. Like obviously, if you're trading, if you're scalping within these big moves right here, you're gonna get stopped out, or you might get lucky at some point. But I'm not gonna take that risk. Anyways, let me see if there's anything else here real quick before we move forward. Assad said the K2 exit strategy says to put stop loss at TP1 when it hits. Do you move it to TP1 as soon as it hits so it can't go up at all? It just keeps going up. Sorry, Assad, your question is kind of like, let me break it down. So let me just reread what you said. The K2 exit strategy says to put stop loss to TP1 when it hits is, do you move it to TP1 as soon as it hits so it can't go down at all? It's just gotta keep going up, question mark. I'm kind of confused with your question, Assad, because it's kind of jumbled up. But yeah, so basically when it reaches TP1, you're supposed to move your stop loss to TP1. If you don't want to move it to TP1, just wait for it to hit TP2, and then you can move your stop loss at that point. You know, it really depends on your broker, because some people have really tight spreads. Like for most of us, we have tight spreads, so we're able to move our stop loss. But if your spread is too wide, then it's going to be like nearly impossible for you to move your stop loss and profit, right? Because you're going to get kicked out as soon as you move your TP up, or I mean your stop loss up. So I mean, it depends on your own account. You know, if your spread is too wide, then you probably have to wait a bit for you to move your stop loss up. But if you if your spread is tight, you can move it right away. I personally move it right away because I'm more focused on you know, stacking up my wins rather than going for those home run hits. Because obviously, if you just keep stacking up your TP1s, TP2s, and you eliminate risk, you know, on some trades you'll hit full TP. Your profits just keep adding up. Like it's impossible for you to go into the negative if you keep taking profit for every trade, because almost all of our trades hit at least TP1, TP2. Most of the time they hit full TP. But yeah, here, let me go pull up the results over here real quick, because the results here will show, you know, what hits TP, like how often do we hit full TP, how often do we hit TP1, TP2. So every week I send out week results, and just looking at, let's see last week's results, if I can find it. Yeah, so last week we had this odd NZD hit full TP, Euro odd hits full TP, GA hit TP1, UCAD hits full TP, GU hit full TP, and Euro NZD hit TP2. So all in all, if you use the exit strategy for all the trades last week, there was even if you just hit TP1 for all of these, or TP2, it was, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? I have the total down here. There was a total of 6 TPs and only 3 losses in total. So, you know, even if you just hit TP1 for all of them, you'd be fine, or TP2. You know, it just becomes a numbers game, right? It's a game of probability. So if you want to be very risky, you can go for the full TP. But you know, like we always recommend for every signal that we send out, if you look at every signal that we send out, it always says, there's always a reminder there to use exit strategy. I mean, this reminder there is advice from us. It's a recommendation, but you know, as you know, not everyone follows that recommendation. So it's really up to you how you want to apply it. But if you want to use it as it's being recommended, then yeah, you would have to move your stop loss and profit as it moves. But yeah, going back to US 30 over here, it's about to be 7:30. So the market should be smoothing out, you know, within the next 10 minutes or so. So this is going to be another sell entry right here. I don't know if I'm going to take this. I might hold off on this, but this is another sell scalp right here. I'm personally not going to take it because I think the market is still moving kind of crazy. I'm going to wait for it to stop bouncing around like 1,000 pips per candle. So like, let's see, this previous candle right here moved about 700 pips. I'm going to hold off on that because it's still moving around too crazy. But if you guys do want to take this trade, this would be another sell scalp right here. But like I mentioned, I'm going to hold off on this because it's just, you know, our range is only 500 pips. If it keeps bouncing around too much, we're going to get kicked out of the trade. So I'm going to hold off on this for now. Let me see if there's anything else here. Ferris said, your USD is finally turning blue. So let me pull up your USD real quick. Nice. Yeah. So your USD is back in profit, guys. You know, like I mentioned, there's a lot of market manipulation on market open right here. And you know, we're probably just gonna have to take it easy because it's getting closer and closer to FOMC at 11:30 or 11 o'clock, I assume. Let me check. Yeah, 11 o'clock. So it's 7 right now, 8, 9, 10, 11. So in about 3.5 hours, we're gonna have the FOMC meeting, or it's just their meeting minutes. So we'll see what they talk about if it affects the market. But yeah, otherwise we'll be taking it easy at this point until we figure out what's going on here. So let me just check the sentiment real quick. Yeah, because I see you guys mentioning the sentiment for US 30. US 30 sentiment. All right, so let's see where everyone's trading right now. So let's check the IG sentiment. Looks like 71% of people are short right now for US 30. So I think US 30 is going to keep pushing up, honestly. I think it's going to push up quite a bit. All right, yeah, 70% of people are short for US 30 right here. That means that 70% of retail traders are short. Generally, you don't want to trade where the majority of people are, right? Because the market makers and institutions are going to do the opposite of that. So we'll probably have the buy bias today, but we'll keep looking. So here's that entry right there. If you guys took that scalp that I was talking about right here, I didn't take it. I'm holding off on it right now until the market starts to move a little smoother. It's just moving around too crazy right now for me to want to take this trade. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So Mark said there was high impact news. Nice. Nice. Okay. So I'm assuming that's what caused the spikes in price, right? I know there was news at 5:30 that was about like 2 hours ago. So I'm not sure if it just had a late reaction. Sometimes that happens. News will come out at 5:30, but the market won't start moving crazy until like an hour later. So just looking at that here, let's see, 5:30 was at this time right here. All right, so off this candle right here, this is when the market, oh, actually, yeah. So the market started to spike around this area. See this huge wick below right here? This is based off that news. And then it looks like it just continued down here. And then as soon as the stock market opened right here, the New York Stock Exchange, it started to spike back and forth. So that's pretty much what we're waiting for here, guys. If we get a sell signal here that's valid, then we'll probably take that sell signal. Otherwise, you know, we'll wait for this right here. So I do have my alerts turned on over here. So when we do get that sell signal, I will be calling it. There we go. We have that sell signal right here. I'll call this signal for you guys. Looks like we might be taking a sell today, but who knows? We'll see. I'm going to call the daily entry right here for US 30. If and when this closes, we got about 7 minutes left on this candle. If it closes, we'll take it. If it doesn't, you know, let's hold off on it. It's going to have to close as a valid sell signal though. So keep that in mind, guys. If it's an invalid sell, we're not going to take it. But yeah, it looks like the market is still bouncing around right now, guys. So I would probably hold off on entering trades right now. Because obviously you can see here US 30 is just bouncing back and forth. It's not something that I would hop into. There's just way too much volatility right now. Last thing you want to do is enter this trade, ends up stopping you out, then it comes back down to profit, right? So I'm going to hold off on this right now. But I will I'll keep looking. All right, so let me scroll up real quick and see if there's anything else that I missed over here. Eric said that he scalped the buy off US 30. He locked in about 20 bucks. Nice, not bad. Yeah, I wouldn't mess with it, guys. It's just too messy right now. Super Sam and Renee wants me to take a look at Nasdaq. So let me pull up Nasdaq for you guys. So I'll do a top-down analysis. We'll go from top 1 hour, and then we'll go down to the 30-minute, and we'll go down to the 10-minute. So looking at the Nasdaq right here, I'm gonna analyze it the same way I've been analyzing, you know, everything else. Here is the naked chart. So I'm gonna zoom out from this point. First thing we're gonna do is turn on the K2 indicator, so that we can draw these zones here. So once we got these set up right here, I'm gonna go ahead and draw my zones. Let's see. And these zones are kind of messy because they all kind of overlap with each other. So I think this right here. It's right there. All right, cool. So we have these zones right here drawn up. We're probably gonna need some lower zones right there. So I'll go on 4 hour. And it looks like it's currently within a zone right now. It's a big zone actually. Yeah, so for the Nasdaq right now, it looks like it's currently within a zone. Let me go back on 1 hour. So that we have our zones drawn up. You can see that, price generally respects these zones pretty nicely. It's currently rejecting off this zone right here. So let me turn on the momentum indicator. All right, so obviously we have a sell bias here. Rejection from this point. Sell signal right here. And then it's currently at this point right here. So we have a sell bias right here, but one of two things can happen. Price can either reject off this point and shoot back up here, or price can break below the structure. And then if that happens, it'll probably continue down further right here to test this structure before either, rejecting off this point or coming down even further. So just keep that in mind, guys. There's a lot of scenarios here that can play out for the Nasdaq, because if this happens, it'll probably break below, or it can reject off this point. The key thing to look at is whether this candle right here closes below the structure. If it closes below the structure, then it's probably going to push down, right? Because if you look at this example over here, it's the same setup. We have the rejection off this point. We have the sell signal. Once it reached this point right here, it failed to close below the structure, right? If it fails to close below the structure, it's probably going to push up like it did right here. It shot all the way up, right? So just keep that in mind. Whenever you analyze charts, look back at previous data to see what happened the last time it was at that structure. The last time it was at that structure, it failed to break, and then it shot up from this point. However, if it does break below it, let me see, it hasn't broke below here in a while yet. Right, I mean, you could, if you wanted to like count this right here as it breaking below, you can see that it comes down and tests this structure right here, right? You can see that price generally just goes from structure to structure. So if you have these K2 SR zones, you can see that you have perfect lineups for how everything's going to move. So for example, here, if it closes below like it's at right now, currently it's still active. So if this candle closes below, it'll probably push down. If it fails to, like it did right here, it'll probably just reject off this point and swing back up. But like I was mentioning earlier, there's a lot of market manipulation going on in the market right now. So there's no sell entry there anymore. It disappeared. There's a ton of market manipulation. See this right here? This is why I didn't take a scalp. So I'm going to stop looking for scalps right now, guys. And we're just going to wait for the market to actually stabilize before we take these trades, because you're going to get caught in some whipsaw action right here, because it just bounces back and forth. It'll go into profit, then it'll reverse on you, then it'll go into profit again, then it'll reverse on you. It's just, there's no point in you taking these trades at this point. But yeah, just looking at Nasdaq right here, if it ends up closing below here, you know what to do, right? So we have that looked at. Let's take a look at the 30-minute just to see, if there are any scalp entries off that. Probably not right now, because like I mentioned, the market is just, it's all over the place right now. It's not really something that you want to mess with, or you might get caught in some bad entries. So looks like there was an entry right here. But like I was mentioning, with this market manipulation here, we wouldn't have entered these trades anyways. But just looking at this here, I'll just see if there's any other entries here that I can probably show you guys, just to show the scalp strategy on these other assets. Because I know a lot of you guys like scalping different things, so it just really depends on what you guys want to apply it on. All right, let me see if there's anything else here. All right, there's none right here. All right, so I think that's about it. Let me just turn this off right here, and I'll just show you guys all the entries that we had available over here. So there's a bunch of entries available last night, actually. So if you guys are scalping Nasdaq over here, there's actually a bunch of entries. So I'll just go from here and we'll move forward, right? So right here we have one. Let me just put the requirements over here again. Again, we're looking for the wick rejection off the pivot, wick rejection off the structure. And then that, that qualifies an entry. So let's see if we could find one over here real quick. Thought I just saw one. Note that one right there. Sorry, for some reason, I thought I saw one over here. I don't know if I'm missing these. Actually, let me just back up from here. Let's go from the most recent one. Okay, so it's just easier to find. So like, for example, right here, this red one would have been a scalp entry, but like I mentioned, I'm not taking any entries right now because of how the market's moving. But technically, if you wanted to take a scalp right here, this would have been the entry. I think sweet spot for this is kind of far off. I'm not sure what the sweet spot would be, but it would be hard to gauge it from this point because these are big candles, right? Like I mentioned, the right now, these are some big spikes. Normally, when you look at Nasdaq right here on the hourly, it normally moves like this, right? This is London session. This is like normal movement. It's about like maybe 200 to 300 pip movement. And then at 5:30, we had that news this morning, which spiked price like 1,000 pips. And then again down here, another 1,000 pips right here. So these are some bad examples to really look at. But I mean, if you wanted to take a look at how this worked when price was moving normally. So before the news right here, this is when price is moving how it normally moves, right? Look at these candles here. It only moves about 300 pips, right? It's a 300 pip range. And then you see some manipulation right here when there's news and stuff. This was US market, 7:30. It goes from like moving 300 pips to like 1,000 pips, right? You can see there's a big difference there. But just looking at this right here, because price is moving normally, only about 200 pips, this would actually be something that I would be looking at taking if I was looking for an entry here. So we just confirmed the wick rejection off the K2 pivot, which would be this yellow pivot right here. We confirm the wick rejection off the K2 SR zone, which would be this area right here. We confirm the wick rejection off the pivot doesn't touch the candle body, and obviously it doesn't because this yellow pivot's way above it. So we would enter a short position right over here. Our TP stop loss, this looks a little bit better, right? It's not like 1,000 pip move. It's only about a small, let's say like 250 pip move right here, because it's a scalp. We're not going for these home run hits. We're just going for these small little wins here, and we just stack them up. So for example, there, it swung up and then it swung down to hit full TP right there. If you were to take this trade a little earlier, but I'm just showing you guys how it looks like there. That's the most recent entry because there's nothing in between there. Technically, this would be an entry here as well, but it's not something that I would take because, like I mentioned, all this crazy market manipulation is causing, it's just going to be impossible for you guys to take scalps right now because it just bounces too fast. But yeah, I mean, that's it for Nasdaq right there. I'll go in the 10-minute to see if there's anything here, even though it's not something that I would necessarily take. So I'll just put the requirements there again. And let's just see if there was any entries here. Even though they're not trades I would take, I'm just showing you guys examples here so you guys can see, what we were necessarily looking for. So put that back right there. We have a zone right here. We have a zone right there. A zone right here. So it doesn't look like there's any entries. Just looking at these current candles right here, because obviously we don't take these trades when the market is consolidating. So it doesn't really look like there was any entries here available since London open. So what I mean by that is when, you can see here when the pivots are spread out and they're angling, this is when we would take a trade. When the pivots start to cross over like they do right here, this is where we hold off because the price is just in consolidation. As soon as it breaks down like this again, we'd start taking some entries. But like I was mentioning earlier, the market's just being, heavily manipulated this time. So there's just no entries for us to take. Other than that, maybe let's hold on tight as we wait for, for the market to settle. Because I'm hoping to take at least one scalp before the market, goes even crazier later with the FOMC, just so that we can cover that US 30 loss from this morning. But other than that, I mean, this is my analysis for Nasdaq. Obviously going back to the 1 hour here, if it closes below here, it's probably going to keep dropping. If it doesn't, it's probably not going to. So just keep that in mind. Otherwise, let me go check these other pairs here to see if there's anything else that we're missing out on. Doesn't really look like much. So let me go and check the chat real quick, see if there's anything else that I'm missing over here. So yeah, we already looked at Nasdaq. Hey, Engel, how's it going? Morning. Peter said I missed those 1,500 pip days. FTMO difference. Yeah, Mark, it's a small difference, but I mean, it is annoying though, because you rather just put in the normal TP stop loss. Nice. So Rich looks like in the chat. If you're looking at the YouTube, looks like Rich took the UK 100 sell scalp. So let's go to UK 100 real quick, and I'll just show you guys the scalp that that Rich is referring to. Let me see this real quick. So Rich mentioned that he hit TP off UK 100 scalp. And go back to UK 100 right here. Nice. Okay, cool. So it looks like you took this trade over here. Rich, let me just check the zones real quick. So we got a zone right here. Yeah, Eric said everything is rejecting off everything, although nothing is super clear this morning. Yeah, I mean, the market isn't always going to be super clear, right? I mean, unfortunately, that's not how it works. But if you guys were with us like the entire week, you know, we were pretty much showing up with the scalps all week. It was just the market was moving smoother Sunday up until now. And then now the market's just all over the place. So I'm just going to check out this trade right here that Rich was just mentioning. He took the scalp here for UK 100. Looks like he took, yeah, I'm not sure if you're referring to the one this morning, Rich, because there was a couple down here. I'm assuming you probably took this one right here at 650, because if you were taking this one, looks like it hasn't really moved much since market open. So I'm assuming you took this one over here. And then same requirements here, guys. You know, he confirmed a wick rejection off the pivot. So if I replay this point right here, wick rejection off the pivot, wick rejection off the structure. So requirement number 1's met, requirement number 2's met. And then this orange pivot right here doesn't touch the body. So all the requirements are met. If you were to enter this trade right here that Rich was mentioning, I think the sweet spot was like 150, right? Something like that. That's pretty much it right there. Yeah. So if these right here are set, it looks like that was probably the trade that you took right there, right, Rich? Because you said that you hit TP. So if you hit TP, it looks like this was the one that you took right here. Because there's another entry right here as well. But this was like when the market started moving a little crazy. So this was fine because this was at 530 or 650, I guess. But the market started getting pretty ugly around this area. But I mean, even if you took this trade right here, you still would have been in profit. If you took this one and you moved your stop loss in profit, it looks like you would have hit like half TP right there, which would be TP1 in your perspective. But yeah, guys, we're gonna hold off right now because the market's kind of crazy. It's not moving smoothly. So we're gonna wait for the market to smoothen out. Once that happens, we can start taking some trades. Otherwise, you know, the market's just not. It's unforgiving this morning. So I wouldn't want to hop into anything and catch the bad side of a trade. Anyways, let me go back to US 30 real quick, see if there's anything there. Yeah, it's way too choppy, guys. So you can see right here. This is an example of what I was talking about earlier, Angela. So basically, if this candle closes like this, you can see that there's an entry from both sides, right? There's an entry from above and there's an entry from below. So if this closes like this, I wouldn't take this trade. I would just skip it. Well, I mean, I'm gonna skip it anyways because of how the market's moving. But if this was like during normal market conditions, I would still skip it. Otherwise, let me see if there's anything else here real quick. Ollie's asking, what time do you come online? I come online at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every day. Ollie, during the weekdays. Jermaine said, because of market manipulation, when is the best time or day to trade? I mean, you can't really predict when market manipulation is going to happen, right, Jermaine? It's just really up to you, up to like how the market's moving at that time. I mean, you can't just wake up in the morning and be like, oh, there's going to be market manipulation this morning, so I'm not going to trade. There's clear market manipulation when there's news. So like one way to identify when there's market manipulation is when there's news going on, right? That's the obvious part of it. But right now it's like 7 o'clock. News happened at 5:30. The next news event is at 11. So at this point, there's I mean, it's kind of hard to really tell if, you know, this is being caused due to that news. If it is a late reaction to, you know, whatever happened in the news earlier. Let me check real quick. So it looks like it was, I mean, it's weird because it was positive news right here, right? Positive news for the US, but it did the complete opposite, right? It was positive news, but price actually came down super heavy right here. So this is obviously market manipulation because if it's positive news, you'd expect the, you know, the stock market to go up if the US dollar is strengthening. But I mean, it's the complete opposite that happened. It dropped about 1,000 pips and then it finally went up, right? And then at this point, it's just bouncing back and forth. So I wouldn't really mess with it at this point until it just starts to smoothen out. So what I'd be waiting for here is I would be waiting for this to just continue up in one direction. So go up this way or go down this way, and then I'll just catch the retracements as they come into the market. But at this point right now, it's just going back and forth at this time. So yeah, Jermaine, we trade the scalp strategy all day. Like it's not just it's not good during like one session. It's good pretty much all day. It just depends on how the market's currently moving, and you just have to identify everything's moving. Because so if you look at everyone's profits here, let me just check, because everyone has different timestamps. So I'm gonna answer these questions later. If you guys are messaging in the Telegram, I'm not gonna be able to get to them just yet because we're here during this live session. But just looking here, so you know, some people post profits here in the morning. These are like the morning trades. And then if you scroll back here, there's also afternoon trades here, like at 5:30 p.m. So people are trading all throughout the day. You know, they're trading afternoon, Asia session. They're trading in the morning, New York session. They're also trading like around midnight, London session. So it just really depends on when you want to trade, Jermaine. But you just have to catch them when they're available. I mean, the thing with scalps is you just have to kind of be on there and on point with things as you wait for those entries to appear. I mean, that's basically what we're doing here. So it looks like price is starting to find its direction. So if this continues to push up here, this is perfect because we want that to happen so that we can catch it when it comes back down and rejects off, you know, a pivot and a structure here, so we can catch that right back up. So we just got to be patient right now, and we just got to wait for this to come through as it moves along. Let me check over here real quick. Saquon said, you don't want to take trades when the market is looking ugly, or he'll blow your account quickly. Morning, Saquon. How's it going, bro? Jermaine said, as above, so below. That scalp buy you called earlier for US 30, was it for 31,000? I'm not sure what you're talking about, Jermaine, because I called a couple. So I'm not sure if you're talking about it hit TP1 if anyone took that. Oh, the buy one that I was looking at earlier. Okay, so you're talking about, I think, probably this one right here, right? This red one. Yeah, I think you were talking about this one right here, right? Because this was I mean, they're all risky right here. So I think you're referring to this one right here, because as you can see right here, we have the requirements here again. Wick rejection off the pivot, which would be this green and yellow pivot down here. We have the rejection off the structure right here, this K2 SR zone. And these pivots don't touch the body. So if you were to take that trade that Jermaine just mentioned right now, looks like, yeah, 50-50 right here. No, this one would hit stop loss. So this one would hit stop loss right here. Let me see if there's another one that you were looking at. Was it a buy or was it a sell, Jermaine? Because there was a bunch of entries here. So there's an entry on every candle. There's an entry right here. There's an entry right here. There's an entry right here. I mean, there's an entry on every single candle, because you can see the wicks are they're going back and forth. And that's why I'm not trading within this area right here. I want to trade when the market's looking like this. So let me show you an example of when I would trade. Let me just go to a clean chart over here. And I'll just show you guys the difference between a manipulated market and a smooth market. So let me just draw these zones right here real quick. And then I'll just show you for like a difference between, you know, when the market's actually moving smooth. Because we did take trades yesterday. I'll just, you know, this is what I'll do. I'll go back to yesterday's market. So yesterday was, okay, our Euro USD just hit TP1 for 12 pips. So let me see if I can get those horns for David. Is David here? Oh, David's here right now. So we got those set for that. Let me just send this update real quick, and then I will go over those scalps for you, Jermaine. I know you kind of picked a bad day to hop on these live sessions for the first time because of the way the market's moving. Normally, it doesn't move this crazy. Like if you hop on yesterday, it was actually pretty smooth, and we were all catching some pretty nice movements. But today, it's a whole different story. I haven't seen the market crazy like this in a while. So that's about 12 pips off that right there. So let me just give the update. About 12 pips off that one. USD. So if you guys, like I mentioned with the exit strategy, guys, if you guys want to wait for it to hit TP2 to move your stop loss, you can do that. Or if you want to move it now in profit, you can do that as well. It's really up to you how you want to move it. The exit strategy requires that you move it to TP1 once price reaches that point. So for example, if I was following the exit strategy to the T, then we would, let me just delete this because we already hit TP. So if you were to follow the exit strategy to the T, you would move your stop loss in profit now. this would be your stop loss. It would be right here, so that you guarantee those profits, right? So in this situation, if price swings back, you get automatic profits, you guaranteed profits. However, if price continues to push down, you can still push for the full TP. So this is what I mean about risk management, guys. Like, a lot of people don't understand risk management, and they just leave their stop loss like far off, right? The main key here is to lock in your wins and minimize your losses, right? You want to minimize or eliminate all losses if possible, because you could just keep stacking up these wins. Like, for example, if you're using proper risk, your TP1 would be about 1%. So if you have like 10 wins for the week, you have a 10% increase for that week, right? You know, full TP would be between like 3 to 5%, depending on how much you're risking. But you know, it just varies. It varies from person to person, and depends on their risk tolerance. So that's pretty much it for your USD. Let me go back to US 30 over here, and I'm just going to show you guys what I was looking at earlier. I thought I marked this up. No. All right. I don't know what happened. I thought I marked this up earlier, but let me go back over here, and then I'll show you guys real quick what I was looking for here. So yeah, so Jermaine said it was a buy like a long time ago. So let me just pull, I'll see if I can find it right now. I'm just going to draw these zones real quick, and then we'll go over the strategy so I can show you guys, you know, when the market's actually moving smooth, it's actually not that difficult. It's actually pretty easy. All right, so Jermaine was mentioning this, he said a buy. So I'm thinking a long time ago is probably, I'm assuming it's probably this one. Yeah, you know, the market here was it was pretty choppy. So what we'll do is we'll go back to yesterday. I'll just show you guys, because yesterday we had a pretty good day. I mean, it wasn't a great day, but it was a decent day. So yesterday was right here. This was the 16th. So I'm just going to go and replay it from this point over here. I'm just going to go from yesterday's morning session, so you guys can see, you know, what we covered yesterday during the live session. If you guys want to replay yesterday's live session, you guys can do that as well. And you guys can see, you know, what trades that we took during that time. So I'm just going to draw some zones here so you can see the clear examples, because the market's not normally like this. It's normally pretty decent. And if you guys watch, I mean, you guys can watch any of the previous live sessions, because I do this every morning. We usually just take the trades live, but today the market's just all over the place, so we're not really trying to take any unnecessary risk right now when there's just a lot of uncertainty in the market. So let me just connect these right here. Right there, and then this one right here. All right, so we're good with that. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to identify the first valid entry. So the first valid entry was right over here. So there's actually 3 entries that were available right here, Jermaine. So I'm going to go ahead and just put the requirements here again. And it's the same thing for every single entry, right? You just confirm the wick rejection off the pivot, wick rejection off the structure. So for example, right here, this red candle, this wick rejects off the pivot and the structure, and it doesn't touch the body. So once those are met, you enter the short position right here. TPs for 500 bips. And then if you let that run, this is what you're looking for. You're looking for the wick rejection off the pivot, wick rejection off the structure. And then you can see that it's a pretty smooth move down, right? This is when you want to take trades. You want to take trades when the pivots are angling down and they're spread out. When they're like this, these are perfect entries. You could just keep stacking these cells right here, and then you can make some pretty nice profit. When stuff starts to cross over like this right here, this is where you don't want to trade, because price is consolidating a little bit. These are where you would take buys. Price is consolidating right here. So you can see there's a big difference from when you should be taking trades and when you should be holding off. Like for example, right here, these are nice. These are nice. This is something you would avoid. This is nice down here. This is nice, you know, et cetera, et cetera. You can see what I'm looking for here. But yeah, just going back to current price, this would have been the entry right there. And then the next entry would have been right over here. You're just looking for the same thing, right? You're looking at this red candle right here. You see the rejection off this point, the wick and the wick's rejection off the pivot and the structure. You have that. It's pretty much the same setup. You enter another short position right here. And it's the same thing. You know, these are from yesterday. So you can see the timestamps right here. These were yesterday straight to TP with like little to no drawdown. So for example, this was at 11:30 a.m. yesterday, and this was at Asia Open yesterday. So you could trade New York session, you could trade Asian session. It doesn't really matter. It's just, you know, whatever you find entries from. And then again, right here, here's another entry off this one right here. Let's replay that. And you can see that yesterday was a pretty smooth move, right? So again, right here, this is about 7:30 a.m. yesterday. These are two entries right here, this green and this red one. Whichever one you wanted to take, you take like this one right here. And then it's the same difference. It's just 500 pips both ways. You let that run, like literally no drawdown, straight to TP, right? So we had a great trading day yesterday with our scalps live. If you want to go back and pull up yesterday's live session. But I mean, there's a bunch of entries here, right? It's not how the market's moving today. It's totally different. Like for example, again, right here, another entry. So you can see from the entire US session, we have a rejection off the pivot and the structure right there. We enter a short position right here. And then it's, you know, it's the same difference. It's, you know, you set your TP stop loss the same as it was earlier. You let this run and straight to TP again right there. So you can see the entire day yesterday was pretty smooth. We had a trade here at 5:30 a.m. before market open. That hit full TP. Another trade right here at 7 a.m. Full TP. Another trade again right here at 11 a.m. Full TP. And then again, another trade right here on Asia session at this is the Aussie Open, about 2 p.m. my time. Another full TP right there. So this is when you would want to trade. You know, comparing this where price currently is right now, this is where you probably don't want to trade because it just keeps crossing over, right? Until this smoothens out like it does up here and over here, that's when you want to take these scalps. But when price is over here crossing over so much, there's just too much uncertainty and you don't really want to take these trades. However, you know, there's going to be some instances where you will find trades during choppy markets like this and they'll still hit. Like for example, over here, this buy or this, this, actually, what was it, a buy or a sell? Can't remember. It was the one that, Gavin posted right here. So it was a sell actually. So Gavin was talking about the sell that he was looking at. Sorry, let me check the US 30 real quick. Man, US 30 is all over the place. Look how much it's ranged since open. So market opened right here. US 30 has moved at least 2,300 pips just since market open. It's only been like an hour and a half. So it's been an hour and a half and it's already moved like over 2,300 pips. So that's something that you kind of want to be careful with, guys. Don't get caught in that mess right there. But yeah, the one that Gavin took over here, said about time US 30 took a while. He took a sell, which was last night. Looks like he took well, I think it was this one right here. So if I replay this right here, this is the one that Gavin took over here. So he took a sell right here. And, you know, this just shows that like you can still use it during choppy markets, but it's just going to be risky, obviously. Because I think for this, it got really close to stop loss. He got like super close to stop loss, but he didn't. He hit TP. So if you let that run, it got really close, but then it ended up hitting TP right here. But, you know, like I was mentioning, it's just, you know, you just got to take it as it is. If you want to take that risk, you can take that risk. I personally don't like taking risk like that. I only want to take trades when I know they're for sure going to hit. So going back to US 30 over here, we got about 6 minutes left on this candle. I don't know if you really want to take this sell here, but I mean, if you do, and we'll follow it. I'm probably not going to take it. I'll probably just give it to you guys, but I'm not going to take it myself because, you know, obviously I'm not trying to get caught in these crazy market movements. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. You know, otherwise I'll take a look at the other indices here, and I'll look at any Forex pairs if you guys want any for that as well. So your USD looks fine right there. UJ doesn't look so good. I think that's all we have right now. We have Euro Odd right here. It was almost at full TP for 50 pips. It just spiked back and forth, but it's still in profit. It's in profit pretty nice right now. If you guys want to exit in profit, you guys can. If you guys want to hold on to it, you guys can hold on to it as well. We have that. We have your USD in profit right here. And then our UJ, that's not looking so great. Yeah, I don't know, guys. It's weird because I was looking at the index here. You know, usually I confirm it with the dollar index. So USDJPY. it just doesn't make sense why it dumped like that, right? Because the dollar is super strong right here, and the DAX and the Japanese index is weak. So this should just keep pushing up pretty smoothly, but for some reason it's coming down right now. I'm assuming this is due to the news that you guys were talking about earlier. But I mean, the news here was good for the US dollar, right? The core retail sales, it was 5.9%. It went from negative 1.8 to positive 5.9. Same with retail sales. It went from negative 1 to positive 5.3. So with that said, you'd expect the US dollar to just shoot up. However, it's not doing that. So we're just going to hold tight on this. But I mean, if this hits, it hits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But everything else should be covering it because, the rest of our trades this week have been pretty good so far. So there's not really much for us to really be worried about overall. All right, cool. So Joe wants me to take a look at gold real quick. So let me pull up gold for you guys. There we go, gold. Let me check US 30 real quick. I just want to make sure. Wow, look at this huge drop right here. So I don't think this is something I'm going to mess with, guys, because US 30, it's just, it's just going back and forth, right? It's not really picking a side right now. It's just bouncing back and forth. It's not worth your risk right now to just hop in this to lock in a quick buck or whatever, because it just doesn't make sense. Price spiked down on open 1,000 pips. Then from there, it spiked up 2,300 pips. And then from here, it spiked all the way back in another 1,000 pips, right? So, unless you have a huge stop loss or you have a huge range, it's not really worth taking these trades because it's just, it's just too messy, guys. It's not something I want to mess with. But anyways, let me check out gold for Joe real quick. Hey, Joe, how's it going? Yeah, I think Eric hit me up about you. I think you're brand new, right? So welcome to K2. Let me go ahead and analyze gold for you real quick. So I'm gonna take everything off the chart. It's probably gonna be the same analysis that it's been for the past couple days or so. The last time we looked at gold, it was within a range. So we'll take a look again. Here, I'm gonna zoom out from this point. This is a naked chart. First thing I do is I turn on the K2 indicator, and then I go ahead and I draw my zones for you guys. So we have a zone down here. Yeah, it looks like it actually broke that zone. So we'll look to see for any nice movements from there. All right, so that looks good. That looks good. That looks good. All right, cool. So we have these upper zones right here. We're gonna need a lower zone just to identify where the rejection points are. All right, so price is actually right at a zone right now. So going back to the 4-hour right here, I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the momentum indicator. So pretty much the same analysis, guys. And this played out exactly like I mentioned, right? So if you guys followed my analysis from yesterday, so if you want to go and replay my analysis from yesterday, I mentioned that once price broke past this structure right here, it was going to push down to the next structure, right? Because if you guys remember, if I take this off right here, if you guys were here in my live session yesterday, I mentioned that gold was just moving within these two zones right here, right? So I deleted this zone and I deleted this zone. I said these were the two zones that it's ranging between. And I mentioned once price breaks and close past the zone, it's going to continue down to the next zone. That's exactly what happened here, right? It broke the zone and then it pushed down to the next zone right here. So it played out exactly how we analyzed the past couple of days. I'm going to turn on the momentum indicator. I think we still have a sell bias here. Yeah, well, obviously we do. So we have the rejection from this point. We have the sell signal right here. You can see that the same pattern just repeats itself, right? It's the same analysis that I used for Forex, same analysis I used for the indices. It's the same thing time and time again. So basically right here, we have the rejection, sell signal, breaking close past structure. After that, it pushed down to the next structure right here, right? And then I mentioned once it breaks and closes past this structure, it's going to push down to this structure right here, right? And that's exactly what happened. So at this point right now, it's kind of at a turning point. So price is currently at this zone right here. One of two things can happen. Price can either break through here, and then if it closes below here, it's going to do the same thing it's been doing. It's just going to keep dropping even further. So that's kind of what could happen here for gold. That's scenario number one. Scenario number two is it rejects off this point and then just shoots all the way back up, right? And then it just continues the same pattern, but just in the opposite direction. Because you can see here, just looking back at previous data, Price rejected off this point. We have the buy signal right here. Price broke and closed past structure, and then what happens? It pushes up to the next structure, just like I mentioned, right? Next structure, test the next structure, reject off this point, come back down. So, just keep that in mind, guys, when you're looking at these pairs, right? Because it's the same pattern that just keeps repeating itself. So obviously right here, it's at a support. It can either reject off it or continue down. But that's pretty much what I see on the 4 hour. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go on the 30-minute, and then I'll analyze this for any scalps that you might want to take or might have taken along the way. So here is gold again. I'm going to be running the same strategy that I was talking about over here. It's the same strategy. It works on any pair, really. There's not just one pair that it works off. But let me go ahead and draw these zones right here to see if there was any entries available. So we got this one right here. We got this one right here. We got this one right here. And then we got this one up here. And I think that's about it for the most part. I'm just trying to see if there's any entries that we could have, possibly looked at. And it looks like there was one right here, actually. So I'm looking at just looking for the most recent one. This is where price currently is right here. And then if we just rewind to like right here, no entry there, no entry there. Looks like there were some buy entries here, but I don't think we would have taken this because if you were, it depends on when you were entering the market, right? So if you were entering the market here around 3 a.m., then yeah, you probably would have taken these buy entries, and I'm not sure if you would have won these. So let's see real quick. I think the sweet spot for gold is like, it's I forgot what you guys called it for. I think it was like 300. Is 300 it, or is it more? I personally don't trade gold, so I don't know what the sweet spot is. But anyways, let me just go ahead and replay this right here, and I'll show you what I was looking for. So we were looking for the same thing that we were looking for pretty much all these other pairs, right? We're looking for a rejection, wick rejection off the pivot and wick rejection off the structure. So first requirement, wick rejection off the K2 pivot. It rejects off this green pivot right here. The second requirement, we confirm a wick rejection off the K2 SR zone, which would be this zone down here. So with those two requirements, you just want to confirm that this pivot doesn't touch the body, which it doesn't. And then you can enter on the open of the falling candle, which would have been right at the close of this red candle right here, right? Because this is the entry candle. So after that, I can't remember what you guys' sweet spot was for gold. I'm assuming it's 300. This looks pretty solid. So if it's 300 pips and you let this run, it looks like it pushed up and then it went straight to TP right there. So this is the most recent entry for gold. And then if you want to go back to, I guess the one before that, it would be this one right here, this red one. Or actually, I don't have to be this green one. It could be either one actually. Actually, not this red one because it touches the body right there. It'd be this green one right here. So looking at this green one right here, you can see that you can trade this in both directions. It's not just sells because price is trending down. Even though it's trending down here, we took a buy right here. But looking at this one over here, this would be a sell because the wick rejects off the pivot right there. And then it also rejects off the structure right here as well. So with that met, you enter a short position right here. And then like I mentioned, I'm not sure if it's 300 or 500 pips for your TP stop loss, but if we use 300 for the example and we let this run right here, that would have went straight to TP with like no drawdown, right? So that's basically what we're looking for here. And, that's pretty much what we found at this point. Looking at current price right now for gold, there's obviously no rejection off the pivot. We would need it to reject off, the structure and the pivot right here. There's no structure here, so there's no entry. But if there was, then we could have taken the sell right here. Otherwise, we're just gonna be looking for another entry as it continues to move on. I'm just checking on US 30 real quick to see if it's finally smoothened out. It doesn't look like it has yet, guys. It's still bouncing around all over the place. Once it starts to smoothen out this direction, then we'll take some sells. If it smoothens out in this direction, then we'll take some buys. But we're just waiting for the market to smoothen out before we start taking some scalps because the market is just moving a little too crazy right now, right? It's not worth us taking these trades. But anyways, let me take a look at gold on the 10-minute to see if there's any scalps there. Obviously we have a bearish bias, like I mentioned over here. If this closes below the structure, we're going to take another sell. So we have a bearish bias right here. Looking at this on the 10-minute, same snipe strategy right there. Let's see if there was any entries that we could have taken right here on the 10-minute, or if there's any ones that are coming up anytime soon. because if there is, I'll probably call some scalps for you guys, and then you guys can take those as well. But I mean, we'll just have to wait and see if there's anything available right now. Let's see. All right, cool. So just looking at gold over here. Let me turn this off. All right, so looking at gold on the 10-minute, it looks like there was a couple entries right here. So this red one right here actually would have been an entry. So the same requirements right here. This entry actually happened just about an hour ago, a little over an hour ago at 6:50 my time. It's 8:50 now, so it's about an hour, a little over an hour ago. We would enter this trade because we have the wick rejection off the pivot, this orange pivot right there, and a wick rejection off the structure, right? With that said, you can enter a short position at the close of this candle right there. And what was the sweet spot? 300, I think. So 300 pips was a sweet spot that we just talked about earlier. And you took the scalp, it went straight to TP right there. So I'm not sure who's scalping gold here. I know everyone in K2 kind of scalps something different. So it just really depends on what you're looking for, right? If you're trying to scalp gold, you can apply this on gold. If you want to scalp it on US 30, you use it on US 30. This is my main asset that I use scalping on, because US 30 moves fast and it's pretty smooth for the most part. For the most part, not necessarily all the time, but for the most part, it's usually pretty smooth. So just looking at gold right here, there's just no entries, right? We're waiting for zones to produce over here. Once the zones are produced down here, we can start taking some scalps in that direction. But until that happens, there's just nothing to take right now. So let me go back to US 30 since that's what I'm scalping. But if you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I can take a look for you. The market's kind of crazy right now, so it's a better time for me to help you guys answer any questions rather than trying to hop into any of these scalps that might be a little too risky. But yeah, look at US 30 right here. It's dumping like heavy. Let me check the IG sentiment, see where everyone's trading. So the IG sentiment right now, 70% of people are short. With that said, it might drop. I mean, who knows? It might continue to drop further, or because before the sentiment was so high, it was like 80%, right? When it was 80%, they just kept pushing price up. But now that sentiment is starting to change a little bit, it might start to drop. So I'm still thinking about calling this sell entry right here for you guys. Let me just zoom out real quick. I want to see what it looks like from a bigger picture. So US 30 looks like it could be dropping, right? It could be. So I'll call that daily entry for you guys if you guys want to take it. Just make sure to move your stop loss and profit when you guys can, because it's just going to be a risky trade. So this is going to be the daily entry right here. If you guys are familiar with how the daily strategy works, basically we wait for the market to open here at 6:30 a.m. and then we take the first valid signal that appears. So we had a buy signal right here, but this was invalid because it was a buy signal with a red candle inside. And in order for it to be valid, it has to be a green candle with a buy signal. So this would be valid. This would be valid as well because it's a red candle with a red signal. Right here is a buy signal with the red candle, so it's not valid. It would have to be both green or both red for it to be valid. But yeah, it looks like US 30 is actually bouncing back. It looked like it was going to drop for a sell, but now it's just pulling back as we speak. So the market is just, like I mentioned, the market's all over the place right now. So if you guys have questions, this would probably be the best time for you guys to ask, because I'm not really going to be scalping until the market direction is confirmed. So we'll keep looking for this real quick. Otherwise, let me just check the other indices to see if they're all dropping. If they're all dropping, then that might be the case that the indices market is probably dropping for the day. So let's look at the Aussie 200. This is dropping pretty heavy right here. Super heavy drop right there for the Aussie 200. The China 50 right here, the Spain 35, the French 40, the German DAX 30, the Nikkei right here. Looks like all of the indices are dropping right now, even Nasdaq. Everything is dropping, so that might be the case for us today. So I might take this trade right here, guys, actually, if it ends up closing. We got about 29 seconds left on this candle. Let me just set up that alert real quick. If we decide to take this trade, let's see, US 30 sell. All right, guys, if you guys want to take this trade, this candle closes in about 10 seconds, sorry, 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1. And there you go. I'm in this trade as well, guys. Let me enter it on mine. Actually, I'm not in it yet. Let me see. I'm gonna wait a second. If you guys want to take, you guys can, but I'm gonna wait a second for it to because I'd rather just put a sell stop here to catch as it comes back down. But if you guys want to get in now, you guys can. I think it's gonna come down. It looks like it's gonna drop because all the indices are dropping as well. It's not just US 30. So let me just call this for you guys in the premium group. So if you guys are in the premium, you guys will get the parameters for this. But like I mentioned, this is going to be a risky trade, guys. So just keep in mind, if you guys can't handle the risk, then don't take the trade. But if you guys can, if you have some spare risk to use today, I mean, feel free to take it because it does look like it's going to drop. I just looked at all the indices right now; they're all bearish. So, I mean, I don't know what's causing all these to drop, but if that's the case, I'm probably just going to scalp it with it. I'll have my sell stop there. And make sure you guys use the sell stop, right? It's a sell stop entry. It's not a market entry, unless you guys already entered. I mean, it's fine too. But let me get these parameters right here. So the numbers aren't that different for FTMO, guys. It's only off by like 10 pips. So I just subtracted by 10, 61, it's 51, right? $86, $76. $76 right there. All right, guys. So just keep in mind that these are some risky trades right now. If you guys have been following all morning, I did mention that this market is a choppy market. But just looking at the other, let's check this real quick. All right. So I'll probably just watch this and then I'll yeah, because I didn't enter it right away. I was going to, but then I was like doing too many things at once. So it's TP1, daily TP1, FD. Daily right here. All right. So I'm gonna just set my I'm going to set a sell stop right there. Why did I do that? I don't really know how to use. Sorry, I'm gonna try to fix this. New order. Oh, there we go. Let me just get my parameters over here real quick. So pending order. I'm just gonna watch you guys. Just gonna watch it because the my MC4 is like lagging earlier. I don't want to do that same thing where it enters a market when I try to enter a sell stop. All right, so that looks good for the most part. Here, and I'm just gonna set the entry right there as well, so we can see. So I'll know that when it fills. So this is gonna be daily. When it comes back down, when it comes back down and fills, it'll give me an alert. And you guys will be able to see it. Let me just pull up US 30 real quick over here. Yeah, this thing's bouncing around a lot. Let me see how many pips is this right here. All right, cool. I just yellowed into this trade. Whatever, we'll see how it plays out. All All right, so I entered the trade already, guys. Let me just check this real quick. I entered for a discount, so let me see. My price was about 31447. Nice, I'm in profit like 300 bucks now. All right, cool. So I yellowed into that trade. I just took it. So I'm putting my stop loss kind of tight because I'm just trying to scalp it. I'm not necessarily trying to go for these big moves. I mean, I'm going for the full TP, but for the most part, I'm trying to just catch this right here. Profit's going to be 31387. All right, guys. So let me just show you my. So I mean, I literally just entered this trade randomly. So I'm currently in the trade right now. I'm profit like 38 bucks, and it's just it's bouncing around like crazy right now, guys. Yeah, I don't really like MT4 on the web version, but yeah, I'm just moving around so quick. I was in profit like 300, now I'm in negative 300. Yeah, this thing's spiking around like crazy right now. I mean, it's all good. I'm gonna let it run. You know, whatever happens with it happens. I'm just gonna let it play out, and then we'll see how this goes. I probably shouldn't have done that, but it's all good. It was just that I saw this. I saw that it was rejecting off the pivot, so I kind of felt like it was going to come dropping. So I mean, we'll see how it plays out, guys. Obviously, you know, we don't know what's going to happen from this point, but I do have my trade running right now. Oh, this thing's going to kick me out of the trade. I should just put my stop loss to the original one up here. I'm going to adjust it real quick. Adjust it to that. Because the stop loss is just too tight for me right now. Got to move it up higher. And these market conditions are crazy, guys. I haven't seen it like bounce. I've seen it bounce around like this obviously in the past, but not in a long time. Normally it'll bounce around like the first hour right here, and then it just goes back to normal. But today it's just it's kind of all over the place. It's not necessarily moving how we would expect it to. 31,530. Let me just adjust it a little bit. I think it might be too close. All right, it's all adjusted. It's good to go. All right. Anyways, yeah, let me go through the chat and see if there's any other questions here. Nice. Yeah. So Joe said, "Yep, brand new today. Excited to check out and test the indicators and start sniping." Yeah, definitely, Joe. Glad to have you on board. Let me see what else you got here. Eric said he was scalping gold on the 5-minute. Never mind, it was US 30 scalps on the 5-minute full TP. So it looks like you were scalping on the 5-minute, Eric. Let me just pull that up over here. The 5-minute's kind of risky. It's not something that I necessarily like to trade, but I mean, if you catch trades on it, I feel like there's just too much noise on the 5-minute that I don't really like to mess with it very often. Anyways, looks like you took I think you took this sell right here, right, Eric? Because I think that's the most recent one. So it looks like you took yeah, it looks like you took this sell over here. So if I just turn this off, yeah, if you guys are in the YouTube chat, you guys can see Eric. He mentioned that he took the scalp on the 5-minute for US 30 over here. So that's the most recent one. So I'm assuming that's the one that he took. If he did take that one, looks like this one will play out pretty nice. Because normally we take like a 500 pip move, but if Eric was scalping this, I'm assuming he took a smaller move, right? Like maybe 250 instead of 500. So if that was the case, where you took 250, looks like, yeah, you would have hit TP off that, like immediately, like after the next candle. So yeah, nice move off that, Eric, if you did take that trade. Or I mean, even if you took it for 500, I think you probably would have hit that as well. I just don't like anything below the 10-minute because there's just too much noise. So regardless is, whether you put 250 pips or 500 pips, looks like you would hit TP on either of them. So it looks good for the most part. Inudu is asking, what's the best scalping time frame to use? I personally like the 10-minute. Inudu, so people use all the other ones though. So like for example, here I can show you examples for US 30. People use the 5-minute, like Eric just used the 5-minute. I personally like using the 10-minute. Some people use the 15-minute, some people use the 30-minute. It's really up to you what you like to use, but I find that 10-minute has it has the best of both worlds. You have a lot of entries, plus there's not really that much noise in the market. I feel like if you go below the 10-minute, there's like a ton of noise going on, and I mean you could get caught in some like nasty spikes if the market isn't really moving smoothly. But I mean it could go both ways. For example, you could have a lot of entries here on the 5-minute, and they could be good entries. Or if the market's too choppy, like this right here would be too dangerous for me to want to take those trades. But if the market's moving smooth like this right here, there's actually a lot of entries that you can take that are pretty solid off the off the 5-minute. So I personally like the 10-minute. Some people like the 5-minute. Some people like the 15. It's really up to you guys how you guys want to apply it. And whatever fits your risk tolerance. Like if you can't handle trading on the shorter time frames, then just move up to the 10 or the 15. Because some people, they get kind of stressed out when they see that, when price is moving too fast. So if you're that type of person, then maybe you should probably just hold off on going on the shorter time frames and then trade on the higher ones. Because this strategy works on all time frames. It's not just for these short-term scalps. Because I think we looked at, what did we look at before, guys? We looked at this like on the 4-hour, and it actually works perfectly fine on the 4-hour as well. It's just I obviously would not trade this on the 4-hour because the 4-hour is such a big time frame. It's not something that I would mess with because you could easily get burnt out. I mean, you get burnt quickly because these candles move so fast. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking at this on the 4-hour, like for example here, we're looking at the US 30 on the 4-hour, right? If you're looking at this here, there's an entry right here because there's obviously a rejection off this pivot, rejection off the structure. You would take a long position here. I don't trade the 4-hour, so I'm not sure how far of a movement we'd probably go for. I'm assuming it'd probably be about maybe 2,000 or so. So maybe a 2,000 pip move if you're trading on the higher time frame. And if you were to take this trade here on the 4-hour, it would have hit full TP right there, right? So this strategy works on the 4-hour. Next we'll look at the 1-hour. We'll see if there's any entries there. If I take this off right here, we turn on the K2 indicator. It looks like, it looks like there was an entry. Like right over here. I'm trying to go away from like this like nasty movement because this morning, obviously there's a lot of manipulation. But if you look at the trades prior to that, from that time, like yesterday, the market was moving smoothly. So for example, here, if you were to take something like, one of these trades over here, like for this right here, we have the rejection off the pivot, rejection off the structure. This is the 1-hour. We just looked at the 4-hour. This is it on the 1-hour. If this happens right here, you take a buy position right there. And then I'm assuming for the 1-hour, you'd probably go for like 1,000 pips. That seems like the sweet spot. So if you took this on the 1-hour, another full TP right there. So it just depends on what you want to apply it on. We went on the 4-hour, now the 1-hour, now the 30-minute. You can literally apply it on any time frame. There's no specific time frame that you want to that you need to really focus on. It just depends on how you want to trade it. So like for example, here again, we're here on the 30-minute. If I rewind to this red candle right here, you can see this red candle rejects off the pivot and the structure, right? So rejects off the pivot and the structure. You can take a long position here. I'm assuming it'd be like 750 pips TP, because I'm just going smaller and smaller. As we go on the smaller time frames, you just lower your risk, right? You lower your TP, you lower your risk. So I showed you on the 4-hour, it works on the 1-hour. Here's the 30-minute right here. There's an entry from this point, straight to TP again right there. So it works on all time frames. There's not just one time frame that you need to use it on. It just depends on how you want to trade it. and what your risk tolerance is. If you're trading US 30 on the higher time frames, it's going to be a lot riskier because you're going to have to catch these bigger moves, but the payout's going to be a lot bigger as well. There's a 30-minute. Here's the 15-minute. See if there's another entry over here possibly. Looks like there's one down here. So guys, I'm not purposely ignoring this area. It's just because there's a lot of market manipulation this morning. So I'm ignoring this area here, and we're just going back to how the trades were yesterday because it gives you a smoother, more correct, visualization of how the strategy works because the market wasn't being like heavily manipulated at this time. So if you look here on the 15-minute, there was two entries. So there was one entry right here, and I'll look at both of them. We have one entry right here where this green candle rejects off the pivot and the structure. And then we have another one here where this green candle rejects off this pivot and structure as well. So if I go back to this candle over here, and then you run this this trade off here, then I mean you would probably go for maybe 600 pips, I'm assuming, depending on what time frame. Because on the 10-minute we go for 500. On the 15-minute you can go for something higher. So for example, here, if you were to run this trade, you can see right here that it goes straight to TP, right, for that first one. And then again over here for this candle, like back-to-back trades. And this is why I like the shorter time frames, because you can take multiple positions. It's not just one. So again, right there, another full TP. So you had a full TP from this one, and then you get a full TP from this one. So you can see from my examples, this works on the 4-hour, it works on the 1-hour, it works on the 30-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute, 5-minute, 1 minute. It's really up to you. It depends on what you want to trade it on. And if you guys are brand new here and you guys want access to this, just go on our website, k2trades.com. Just go to K2 Trading Strategy course right here, and then you'll have access to all of the K2 indicators right here in order to apply this strategy, right? Because you need these indicators to apply the strategy here. But yeah, I'm going to show you guys my MT4 real quick. So that same position I took earlier, guys, I'm still in it. I'm in profit now, $200. So you can see down here, my profit about 218, 198. It's bouncing between 200 and 300 profit. I mean, the market's crazy, guys. Like I mentioned, if I call these trades, I'm going to take them. And, obviously I'm in this trade right now currently. I'm currently in profit about 158, about 200. And it just keeps bouncing around back and forth, guys. So, I'm not really going to worry about it. I took the trade already, so I'm just hanging on to it. And then we'll just see how it plays out. Otherwise, we'll be looking for some entries as we continue to, look along from here. So it looks like there's going to be another sell scalp that's available here for US 30. I mean, it's a risky sell scalp, and I'm probably not going to take it just yet because I'm in this other position. But if you guys do want to take it, I'm going to mark it up on my own chart. We have about 2 minutes left on this candle. So when this candle closes, we'll probably see if this is an entry worth taking or not. Damn, look at this spike here, guys. The market is just, I mean, honestly, guys, I don't know what to tell you guys about the market right now because it's just bouncing back and forth. So I probably wouldn't even take the scalp if it ends up closing because the market is just I don't know what to call it, guys. It's just bouncing too much right now because the last thing you want to do is enter the scalp and it ends up pulling back, right? If the range is higher than 500 pips, it's just too risky for you to take these trades. Look at these candles. Each candle is moving about 500 to 600 pips. So if your TP is 500, I mean, you can either hit your TP or stop loss, and you're going to find out within a few seconds. And it's not something that I would personally want to risk, especially if you care about your account. If it's a risky account, then go ahead and take the trade. But if you actually care about your account, I wouldn't take these gambles right now because the market is just bouncing around like way too much. Let's see. Other than that, let's see if there's anything else here. All right, yeah, other than that, let me see if there's any other questions. If you guys have any other questions or you guys want me to analyze anything, feel free to put them in the chat. I'm probably going to be taking these trades kind of easy today because of these spikes. I think once it drops back down, I might just move my stop loss and profit to prevent getting caught. And, I feel like if you were just watching this bounce back and forth, this would like totally stress you out, right? So I'll keep watching. I'll wait to see how this candle closes, and I'll just mark this up here if it ends up closing for an entry. We have about 25 seconds left on this candle, 20 seconds now. And then as it counts down, we'll see if there's anything else here to follow up on. But yeah, the daily entry right here looks decent. It's starting to move down right now as we speak. I entered from this area up here, so I'm in profit right now currently. And this would provide for another scalp. If this provides for another scalp, I might hang on to it. Wow, look at that spike up. This market's crazy. All right, so this would be the scalping trade right here if you wanted to take it. But like I mentioned, guys, it's a risky trade. So I mean, you know, take it at your own risk. But that would be the scalping trade right there. The reason for that is we have the rejection off the pivot, rejection off the structure, and then the entry will be right here off the candle close. So just keep that in mind. Jeez, this thing is it's spiking around like crazy, guys. So this is why I was telling you guys not to take it, because look how much it's spiking around. It's this market is crazy right now. Normally it moves like a couple, like not even 100 pips like per candle. It moves like, now it's moving like 300 pips per candle, right? There's just way too much volatility for you to really catch these scalps right now unless you're like super on point with it. So wow, look at that spike up. Shit, look at this thing, dude. Yeah, guys, I would hold off on the market right now if you're thinking about entering, because this thing just spiked up like 500 pips within a few seconds. You can see how fast it's moving. If I go here on the 1 minute, I mean, even the 1 second, look at the 1 second candle. Look how fast it's moving. Normally it moves like this, smooth little movements, right? But right now it's like spiking up like all over the place. So I would hang tight, guys. I wouldn't take these trades. I would just hold off and just sit tight and wait for the market to smoothen out or to stabilize at least, because I personally wouldn't want to get caught in these crazy movements right here. Salim said, "Thank God I closed mine in profit." Yeah, guys, be careful. This market manipulation is just crazy right now. It's not really much for you to really catch. I mean, there's just too much risk, right? I mean, there's opportunities here where you can take these trades, like, you know, how we mentioned earlier, there was some DAX wins, there's some gold wins that you could have taken. But I mean, I just wouldn't risk it with, especially if you're trading something that you know, you can't risk losing, because like some people are trading off like their last dollars. If you're trading off your last dollars, guys, this isn't your trade here. Don't take these trades, because you're just gambling at this point, because you just don't know what's going to happen next. But I mean, we'll see how this plays out. Talanji said hit that like. Yeah, guys, so if you guys haven't already, if you guys can like the stream and follow the YouTube channel, that'll definitely help us continue to grow this channel, and it'll give me incentive to continue coming on these live sessions. You know, obviously this takes a lot of time for me to come on these sessions and teach you guys every morning, but I don't mind doing that. You know, I actually want to help you guys. You know, I'm here with good intentions, and my main goal here is just to reach other traders, right? The more that we share and like this video, the more traders we can reach. So I'm going to close out this trade right here. Actually, let me turn on one click trading, because this shit's like, it's stressing me out, bro. All right, I closed out for about 300 bucks. So I made 300 off this trade right here, because I entered from up here. So I actually exited this trade, guys. I'm currently outside the trade. I locked in some profit. I actually entered at a good area above here. And then as soon as it dropped, I think it dropped like 300 pips or something, or 200 pips. So from this point, it dropped down here about 300 pips. That's where I closed out. So I locked in about 300 bucks off that trade, which is it's not bad. I mean, it's not great. It's not great, but it's not bad. So let me just show you guys my profit over here, because I did close out of the position. I'll show you guys that I closed out of it. Yeah, right here. So you can see this trade right here, US 30 profit right here, 278. So I closed out on my position with profit already, guys. So I'm not going to mess with it. I mean, honestly, I wanted to, but it's just, man, it's stressing me out. And if it's stressing me out, it's got to be stressing you guys out, because I just don't like when it spikes around that much. But yeah, you know, my profits right here. This is the trade I just took. I took a heavier lot size because I knew I was just going to scalp it. So I took a 2 lot off this, which is equivalent to a 2 mini. And yeah, I mean, this is my closure right here, 217 today's date. 1743 is a minute ago. So I just closed this for 278. It was like at 310, but I clicked it and I mentioned that MT4 is kind of laggy. So it closed off with less profit, but it's fine. I'd rather be safe with profit than sorry in the negative, right? So just keep that in mind, guys. This is probably not the best time for you guys to be taking some crazy scalps right now. It's like, once it's stressed ain't the word. Yeah, Salim said this is too much. Left my ass off. Yeah, no, for sure. This market is crazy, guys. Like normally it doesn't move like this. Normally it's just a smooth little move down, right? You don't have to worry about anything. It's just like, all right, cool, full TP. But right now it's like right here, it's just going up, then it's going down, it's going up, then it's going down. And I could expect this to happen throughout the entire day. It's just gonna go up, then it's gonna go down, then it's gonna go up, and it's gonna go down. And the problem with this is I don't mind it going up and down, but when it's going up and down like 500 pips per candle, that's where I start to worry because you don't know if it's going to spike up or not. Like it could randomly just spike all the way up or it can randomly spike all the way down. It's a crazy risky trade, guys. It's just, I mean, from this morning, if you guys followed my session from the market open, I already mentioned that these market movements aren't normal. So check this out. You can see from right here, from 8:10, the news happened at 5:30. So from 5:30 till now, market is still spiking around. The current candles are moving about 600 pips per candle, right? That's a big move for US 30. When normally over here, you can see these candles, they only move like 500 pips, and this is like a 2-hour time frame. Like for example, right here, from here to here in like 2-3 hours, it only moves like 500 pips. You look at the candles right here, each candle is moving 500 to 600 pips within 10 minutes. So, a 3-hour movement and it's happening every 10 minutes. It's something that you should probably be careful with because you can easily, like this can easily spike up and stop you out, or it can easily spike down and hit your TP. It's just not something that I would want to mess with. Yeah, Mercibah. So FTMO's 2.0 is equivalent to a 0.02.0 on a regular broker because it's just valued a little differently. Here, let me see over here real quick. Oh, sorry, City. Yeah, I just saw your question for UJ. I'll pull up UJ for you right now. Yeah, so that's the first question right there. Let me pull up UJ for you guys because I'm not going to mess with this, guys. I'm already out of this in profit. I'll just show you guys again here who just joined the room. I just closed out of that position in profit for 278. So I'm happy with my 278. Like I mentioned, I have multiple FTMO accounts, so I multiply that by 2. I already made like 600 for the day, so I'm not complaining. I'm gonna wait for the next trade and then I'll start trading off that. But anyways, for City, let me take a look at UJ for you real quick. So UJ over here, yeah, UJ looks nasty. I know what happened to this. It's weird because when we took this trade, look at this entry. So we took this entry off here. It looked like it was just going to keep shooting up, right? As soon as that happened, this just spiked down like that right there. I'm currently still in the trade too. So, it didn't hit TP yet. I'm still currently in this trade. I'm going to take a look at yeah, see guys, it just doesn't make sense to me. Look, if you guys look here, if you guys understand how the indexes work, the dollar index is strong bullish, right? The Japanese index is bearish. So with that said, this should be going up because if you guys understand how the market moves, when price is going up, that means that the first currency is stronger than the second currency. When the price is going down, that means that the second currency is stronger than the first currency. So looking at the indexes over here, the dollar index is going up. So that means the US dollar is strong. The Japanese index is going down. So that indicates that the Japanese yen is weak. So this should be going up. But just looking at the indexes here, it just doesn't make sense because this should be going in this direction, but it's actually dropping right here. So I'm assuming this happened because of the news that Mark mentioned earlier. But it should have recovered by now, right? I'm not, it just seems like the market's just being manipulated in a lot of different ways, with regard to not just like UJ, but with regard to like US 30 as well over here. Because if we look at the other USD pairs, like USD CHF, this is bullish right here, right? This is because the US dollar is strong. So with that said, this should be bullish as well. USD CAD's bullish, this is bullish, and this should be bullish too. I'm not sure if there's something in the Japanese market that's really affecting this spike up, but I mean, for the most part, it looks like the JPY is actually strong against other pairs. So it's strong against odd JPY. It's strong there. It's strong for CHF JPY. It's strong for EJ. It's strong for GJ. But I don't really understand how it's strong against the US dollar when the US dollar is super strong right now, right? It's so strong, right? It just keeps pushing up. It's been bullish since yesterday, or I mean, yeah, since the beginning of the day yesterday. So February 16 at 1 a.m., it started pushing up super strong. The Japanese yen has been weak since February 12th. And it just started pushing up this morning but then it's still weak. It's not necessarily strong. So, with that said right there, I mean, UJ looks, I mean, it looks all right to me. I think it's going to swing back up at some point. It's just having a laggy reaction to the indexes over here. But as long as this continues to drop lower, if this Japanese index keeps dropping from this point, then that's where I would see this continue to push up from here. So I would just hold off on that city. I'm still in the trade too, so we're both in this drawdown right now, but it's all good. I mean, if this ends up happening, this ends up happening. It's just how the market's moving today. It's a messy market, not just for indices, but it looks like it's the same for everything else as well. Even Euro USD over here. Let me check the index for Euro USD real quick. We'll pull up the Euro index right here, EXY. We'll turn on the dollar index right here. So it's the same situation here, right? It just doesn't make sense to me because the Euro index is coming down. You see this bearish candle, it's a red candle, and the dollar index is going up, it's a bullish candle. But for whatever reason, Euro USD is just sticking where it's at. This should be dropping at that point if it follows through with how the indexes are moving. But who knows? I don't know if something else is going on in the market that's causing this to happen. Whatever sort of manipulation that's going on in the market. But I mean, if you're looking at fundamentals here, these are basic fundamentals. And I'm not looking at this from technical analysis. I'm just looking at it from a fundamental analysis because the dollar index is going up, the euro index is going down. If that's happening, this should drop as well. And then same with UJ as well. Looking at fundamentals over here, if the dollar index is going up and the Japanese yen is going down, then it should be going in our direction. But I mean, who knows? Maybe this is a temporary move down before it ends up continuing to swing up. But other than that, let me pull up CNBC, see if there's anything here. Millions of Texas suffer through third day without power as grid falters in winter storm. Damn, that's crazy. I feel bad for you guys over there in Texas. I mean, if you guys are in Texas, you're probably not on this live session. You don't have internet or power right now. Dang, that's crazy. Yeah, other than that, I don't really see much here. Wells Fargo shares jump after Fed report leave. Yeah, no idea, guys. There's a lot of all right, so this is probably the main thing right here, COVID. If there's like heavy COVID news, then this would probably be what's affecting some of the currency pairs. CDC warns against travel after investigation into people with contagious variant in Minnesota. All right. So this might have spiked price a little bit because at first there was good COVID news. Hong Kong Disneyland is opening. They're talking about the vaccine rollout. And then all of a sudden, 43 minutes ago, we had this CDC warning. So, the thing is, when you see price moving kind of weird, you kind of want to go and figure out, what caused this to spike. So for example, let's see when this started dropping. This started dropping about 2 hours ago, right? So so the first news that happened was the retail sales at 5:30 right here. So this just does, honestly, this doesn't make sense to me why this dropped because the retail sales were good for the US dollar. So for example, right here, the core retail sales, the previous month was negative 1.8%, right? The forecast was to be positive. It actually exceeded that by 5%. So it went from negative 1.8 to positive 5.9. Same with retail sales over here, went negative 1 to positive 5.3. So with that said, the US dollar should have became stronger and this should have pushed up from that point at 5:30, right? But it didn't. So who knows? I mean, I don't know what's going on in the market, what's causing this push in price, but just fundamentals indicate that the US dollar should be strong and this should be recovering at some point. So, I mean, I would just hang on to it, City. I'm hanging on to it. I'm going to try to hold through the storm right here because it seems like a lot of stuff is being manipulated. And then, I mean, we'll just see how it plays out. I mean, if it hits stop loss, it hits stop loss. If it hits GP, it hits GP. It doesn't really bother me because, we're going to bounce back off the next trade. This only happens so often where the manipulation happens. Like yesterday was a good trading day. The day before that was a good trading day. Today's it's a shitty trading day. And we just got to take it as it is. So we're going to hang on to that. Let's see the US 30 trade right here. I'm so glad that I exited this in profit because look at how it's moving. It's still all over the place. Yeah, so I'm glad I didn't take that scalp right there. And I'm not going to take any more scalps for a while, guys, until this smoothens out. Because if you look at this range right here, from market open up until this whole session, it's ranged about 2,250 pips, which is a really big range. Because even normally, let's see, for example, here, this was yesterday. The range for yesterday was less than that. It was only about 1,700 pips. So you can see that the manipulation is getting worse as we go along throughout the week, right? So yesterday, it only ranged about 1,700 pips right here, because this was the open about, you know, 6:30 up until 7. It got to that high, and then the low was established around 9:30, and then it just went sideways and started to smoothen out from that point. This, on the other hand, is a big movement. That was only 1,700 pips. We went from 1,700 pips to 2,250 pips. It's a big move there. And then if we look on Monday, let's see, Monday over here. Okay, so for Monday, there was only look, it wasn't even 1,000 pip move. So you see how much different the market's moving. From Monday, it moved 700 pips. On Tuesday, it moved 1,700 pips, and then today it's moving like 2,500 pips, right? So obviously today's a crazy trading day. It's not how like price normally moves. And that's one way to determine whether price is being manipulated or not, right? You just need to check to see how price normally moves. Like, for example, over here, this was last week. This was Friday. So this is an outlier. Friday usually has crazy movements, but here on Wednesday, oh wait, actually, was this Wednesday last month? I mean, last week? Maybe it's just a Wednesday thing. Because yeah, over here on the 10th, actually, no, the 10th was fine. Or no, it wasn't. So the 10th, look, this is last Wednesday, right? Last Wednesday, February 10th. This actually moved pretty crazy too. On the 10th, Wednesday last week, it moved 3,300 pips. That's last Wednesday. And then the Thursday following that, on the 11th, it moved, geez, it moved. Yeah, last week was a crazy week too. So if you guys go and you check out my my previous live sessions on these 2 days, these are some crazy movements, but then you can see it kind of smoothens out. So like Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday over here, it started to move a little smoother. So it went from like 3,000 pips to like over 3,000 pips to like normal movement over here for about 1,000 pips. So 1,000 pips is usually the normal range. That's why for our daily entry, we have a 1,500 pip movement, because we usually only anticipate price to move about a 1,500 pip max during a session, right? When it goes past 1,500, like up to 2,000 or 3,000, that's where it starts to become a little worrisome, because you're not really sure, you know, the direction of price and stuff like that. But I mean, that's that. I mean, it happens, guys. There's nothing that we can do about market manipulation. You just have to deal with it. You either sit out of the market, or you try to play around with it. But I personally would just chill off this. Anyways, let me check real quick, and let me see if there's anything else over here as we continue. Inudu said, just curious to know, what's the smallest account size you traded and grown with US 30? I mean, you should start with 1,000 minimum to trade US 30. You know, I'm not sure what you trade on, Inudu. I'm assuming you're trying to trade with like something really small, right? Like under 1,000. So I've grown 1,000 to like 5,000 in a week. It's, you know, if you have a really good week, you can keep stacking those wins, and they just keep compounding. Because if you're trading US 30, like, it depends on what broker. If you're trading it on a standard broker, then you need at least 1,000, because you should be trading a 0.01 per $1,000. But if you're trading on a mini broker like CoinX or FX Choice or IC Markets, then you can trade with a lot lesser amount. But I usually use a standard broker, so I usually start with just 1,000. That's enough cushion for you to even just get started. And I've grown that like pretty nice over a week and over a month. And then now I'm just using FTMO because it just makes more sense, because I can take bigger trades. So let me see if there's anything else here before I continue on with that. So Quan said, why did I take the US 30? Skinny Boy said, the market is haunted today. We need a preacher quick. Exactly, right? Mercedes said, for sure, I thought we were going to be using actual standard lot. No, definitely not. Taquan said there's a demon in the market. Bad juju today. Damn, US 30 moving up. Kim said 8 inches of snow and no water for 3 days, but at least I can still have K2 live stream. Nice. Kim, I didn't realize you're out in Texas, so hopefully you guys are safe out there. I know Lisa was talking about it today and yesterday as well, that you guys don't have water and stuff out there. That's crazy. How you guys have so much snow and no water? That's insane. And I heard that your guys is like mayor or governor or something is not even doing anything about it. So hopefully you guys are safe out there, and hopefully you can lock in some more profits as we continue on with these. Yeah, Dennis said, damn, I shouldn't have taken this US 30 daily. Yeah, Dennis, I was in that trade actually, and I exited in profit. So these were the profits that I took earlier, Dennis, because I was watching it bounce around. I actually entered kind of late. And then I exited right here in profit because I just saw how crazy the market was moving. I didn't want to mess with it. You know, it's just too much going on in the market where you just don't want to. I mean, I personally wouldn't want to really mess with it. The sentiment right now is 70%. So there's 70% of people are short US 30. And yeah, I mean, we'll see how this plays out. I don't think it filled for most people, right? Because I had the sell stop there. So I don't think it filled for majority of people. Did it come back down to entry after we called it? Because I don't think it did. It looks like right here, it pushed above it and never came back down. But I actually entered up here, Dennis. So I saw this pushing over here and I entered right here. As soon as it dropped right here, I got rid of it. I sold right here. I made about 200 to 300 bucks. I closed out and then it shot all the way back up. So I would be careful with it. Hopefully the market starts to stabilize in a little bit though. Dennis and whoever else is in that trade, it's just, you know, obviously it's just too risky off this. Let's see. Ali said, should we exit US 30? Which scalp are you in, Ollie? Because I don't think I called a scalp for US 30. Because Ollie, this whole session I've been saying not to take the scalps. I'm not sure which one you took on yours, Ollie. But I mean, there is a buy scalp right here. But then there's a bunch of scalps. So there's a buy scalp there. There's a sell scalp here. So I wouldn't even scalp Ollie right now because there's just no certainty, right? The market's too choppy. Like I mentioned earlier, if you were listening to what I was. Yeah, so I closed that one a long time ago already, Ollie. I entered that one over here. That one was this one right here. It got close to TP right there, and that's where I closed it. So as it came down right here, that's where I closed it right here. So this is the one that I called because we had the rejection off this point. And then I actually closed it. So, I mean, if you're still in it, I'd probably just hold on to it. I'd hold on to it and then just close it as it reaches profit. I don't recommend entering any more scalps right now because the market's just going back and forth until it smoothens out. Like until it smoothens out like this right here. When this happens, like for example, right here, when this happens right here, where it smoothens out, then I'll start taking some trades. But right now it's just going back and forth. Like literally from right here, this is where it started. Market opened right here. Then it spiked down, then it spiked up, then it spiked down, then it spiked up, then it spiked down, then it spiked up. It's just going back and forth. So Ollie, if you're in that scalp right now, I would close it when it moves back into profit. Yeah, I didn't realize you were still in that trade because I was saying that was like super risky. That's why I got out in profit when I could. But yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do right now until it plays out how it's supposed to. So I think that's about it for now. Yeah, Cowie, you pulled out of that one, right? I would just hold off on entering any trades right now, guys. If you guys are looking to enter any trades, because you know the price is just gonna go back and forth. Last thing you want to do is enter a trade and then it reverses on you completely as soon as you get into it. And there's just too much whipsaw action going on here because we do have a sell right here that was available, and then now again there's a buy right here that's available, right? So it's like you wouldn't really know which one to take if you're gonna take the buy or the sell because they keep bouncing back and forth. So I would sit tight on that, guys. If there's anything else that you guys want me to look at, this is probably the best time for me to analyze stuff because I'm not looking to take any trades right now. We're right here on US 30. Let's go back to the DAX. So I'll take a look at the other indices to see if everything's dropping right now. So the Aussie looks like it's swinging back up. The China 50s just going sideways. The Spain 35 is going back up, but it's also going sideways. The French 40 is going back up. The DAX is also going back up. Looks like everything is kind of swinging back up, but who knows if this is going to swing back up or if it's just going to drop back down, because when we first took that daily entry over here, they were all dropping, right? So who knows? Like, I don't know if the market's just going to keep moving one direction or if it's going to spike around, or, you know, who knows what's going to happen next. But yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much it for now, guys. There's really not much to look at right now, because I don't want to tempt you guys and I don't want to tempt myself into entering any other trades with these current conditions going on right now. So I would hold off on entering anything new right now, guys. We'll just keep watching. It's only 9 o'clock right now, so we'll see if the market smoothens out by like 9:30, 10. If it doesn't smoothen out by 10, then we're probably just gonna call it a day for these scalps, and then we'll pick back up during Asia session, because that would probably be a better time for us to make up for the day, because, you know, obviously, as you can see right here, it's just not worth the risk for you guys to really be messing with this. So UJ is not looking good. Let me check Euro Auto over here. All right, so Caesar wants me to take a look at GJ. So let me pull up GJ for you. So here's GJ. Let me take everything off the chart. I'll just zoom out from this point, turn on the K2 SR indicator. And then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw these zones on the chart for you guys. So we got that zone right there, that zone right there, this zone right here, this one right there, this one right there, that right there, that right there, and that one right there. All right, so we got all these zones right here lined up. You can see that these zones are respected pretty much throughout. I just drew these today, but these same zones have been respecting all throughout the time. So once we have that, I'm going to go in the higher time frame, because we need the higher zone. 8-hour, daily, weekly. All right, so we have the zone right here. So it's currently within a zone right now, which makes it yeah, I don't really like when these zones overlap like this, because it just ends up becoming a huge zone right here. So I'm just gonna draw that there, and I'm gonna draw a bunch of different areas right here for rejection points. Or actually, no, it's fine, because we just need that top one right there. Anyway, so looking at this right here, I've already drawn up GJ. I'm gonna go ahead and hide all these indicators off the chart. So just looking at this right here, you can see that you know, price pretty much made its way up here, and then out swinging back down. So just looking at GJ right now, you know, looking at the fundamentals, it looks like the JPY is actually kind of strong right now. So I'm gonna turn on the momentum indicator right here. As you can see right here, price broke structure, then it came back down. So as it comes back down, we have the rejection above here. What we'll be looking for next is a sell signal. So I'll show you another example of where this played out. So for example, right here, we have a rejection off this zone right here. We have the sell signal right here, and it closed below structure. When this happens, it pushes down to the next structure right here, right? And then from that point, we have another rejection here, a buy signal right here, and then it does the complete opposite, right, in the other direction. So looking at this here, I'm just using this as an example. This same pattern is repeating itself over here. All we need next is a sell signal. So for example, if this closes out with a sell signal right here, then we can anticipate this to push down further. However, we probably wouldn't have that until this provides a sell signal, right? Because we have the rejection, we need a sell signal, and it'll probably continue pushing down. For example, here we have the rejection, the sell signal, and then it would continue pushing down from this point, right? So just keep that in mind for GJ. I mean, obviously we don't have that sell signal yet, so we don't have that bias at this time. Until we get that sell signal, then we can, you know, we can look for a sell. However, if that sell signal never comes, this can easily just push back up from this point right here, because we still have this bullish bias right here, right? So for example, right here, we have this rejection. Let me just delete this because this is irrelevant at this point. We have this rejection. We have this buy signal. We have a breaking close past. Sorry, I got an alert from something. That's just US 30. Yeah, so right here we have the rejection, the buy signal, the breaking close past structure right here. And then it pushes up to the next structure, right? As soon as it closes past this structure right here, it continues up even higher from that point, right? So for example here, I mean, there's two different scenarios that can play out. It can either reject off this point and then swing back up, or this could have been the rejection right here. And then if it provides like a sell signal somewhere over here, it'll probably just keep dropping, right? So, I mean, there's two different scenarios that can play out here, but I would want more confirmation for this before I, decide to take this trade. After looking at this on the 4-hour, we'll go on the 30-minute to see if there's any possible scalps off GJ, because this is one that I actually like to scalp. So I'll go back to the 30-minute over here. We'll pull up, let me just copy this. We'll go over to GJ real quick. Then I'll just put this up right here. So pretty much the same thing here again. Let's just see if there's any entries that were available over here. See this over here. Yeah, actually there's an entry right here. So let me just draw this zone right here. And then there's a couple of zones right here as well. I'm just wrong tool. That one right there. And then this one right there. This one up here as well. All right, so just looking back at the most recent rejection point over here, the first one looks like it's about right here. So there's no entries over here. The first one, the most recent one is this one right here, where this would provide for a sell entry. The reason for the sell entry right here is that we have the wick rejection off the red pivot right here and rejection off the structure. So with that said, we could enter a short position right here for a 30 pip move. Generally, a 30 pip move is a sweet spot for a GJ on the 30-minute. So for example, right here, if we let this run, it obviously hit TP right there, right? So what happened here was price came up really close to stop loss, like super close, not close enough, but like obviously close right here. It came up to that point and then it ended up dropping to hit full TP right here. So this would have been the entry if you took this on the 30-minute scalping GJ. There's nothing coming up right now because price is currently right here and the pivot's right here. In order for there to be an entry right here, this would need to, swing up and then reject off the structure and the pivot right here. So from that point, we can take a sell and then write it down from there. So that's pretty much it for this right here. Other than that, let me see if there's anything else here to look at. So Deswell's asking, are you going to go live for the Asia session, Shawn? So I might not. So I don't want to tell you I'm going to, and then I don't, because I'm not sure yet. If the market looks good, then yeah, I'll come on for Asia session. If the market's not good, there's just really no point in me going on for that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's about it for the most part. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to look through the Forex pairs. If you guys have any other questions, put them in the chat and then I can answer them for you. Nazareth said, US 30 daily, is it active? No, it's not. I mean, if you're asking if it's active, Nazareth, then it's not active for you yet because this was a sell stop right here. If you followed it when we first saw it as it opened, then yeah, you probably would have entered market, but it's technically not active right now. And I'm actually out of the trade. So I actually pulled out of that trade already over here earlier, and I locked in about 278 bucks off that trade. So I actually got out of that trade already because I entered at a different time. I entered up here when it pulled up. But if you're waiting for this to fill and you didn't take it on the candle close, then it's still not filled yet. It's still a pending sell stop right now. You can see I have my alert right here. It says US 30 daily filled. So once price comes down and actually fills the order, like for example, when price actually comes down, I'll get an alert here telling me that the trade is filled. But currently right now it's not filled yet, Nazareth. I would probably just skip this trade if you want to, because it's just the market's being heavily manipulated today. So, obviously you can see right here, it's just bouncing back and forth. It's just too risky for us to take these trades. And that's why, I've decided to just hold off. Like I was in the trade, but I closed out in profit. and I don't plan on re-entering, anytime soon, because it's just too much of a mess right now. Anyways, so I think that's it for that. Let me see if there's anything else here for me to look at. Yeah, so I think that's it for the questions right now. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, I'll just go ahead and take a look at the Forex pairs right here. And then I'm going to see if there's any entries that we could possibly take off the next 4-hour candle close. So the next 4-hour candle closes in about 45 minutes. I'm just going to prep my charts, and I'm going to mark up any possible entries that I'll be looking for. So generally, if I see any entries here, I'll flag it like this right here. This looks like an entry that was available, but I did miss it. Looks like it closed out at 10 p.m. last night. So if you guys were applying this strategy on your own, like I mentioned, you guys have access to these strategies if you guys want to learn them. They're available on the website. So if you guys are brand new to K2 and you guys want access to the K2 indicators, just go to our website, k2trades.com, click on K2 strategy course right here, and you can then get access to all of these indicators so that you can apply these strategies on your own. So I see this is one entry that was technically activated already. It's too late to enter it now because it's on its way to full TP. On JPY, no entry here. But it looks like it could be dropping. Like for example, right here, we have the rejection from this point, or actually rejection from this point, sell signal right here. So this is probably going to drop from here to here. Looking at odd NZD right here, this is the one that I called last week, right? On the, or not last week. It's like last month actually, on January 18th. So this is one trade that we took last month. Sorry guys. And then here's another entry here for odd NZD. This is what I mean about the like everything repeating itself, right? We have the rejection from this point right here. We have the buy signal right here, and it just keeps repeating itself. Like for example, that happens there. It broke structure right here, and then what happens from that point? It pushes up to the next structure, right? It broke structure and closed again right here. And what happened from that point? It pushed up to the next structure. And then again right here, it broke structure at this point. And then look what happens. It does the same thing, just repeats itself, right? So for something like this, I think I did call this trade earlier this week, but I didn't, or this was last week actually. So the full move would be like way up here, obviously for like 100 pips. I think I called this trade last week. Let me just check mine real quick. So this would be the full move right here. It's still technically active. I think I called in odd NZD trade over here. Let me see, odd NZD. Yeah, so I called this trade last Thursday. So last Thursday right here, I called this buy. It's the same one that I just mentioned. So see this right here, this lineup that I have right here. I called that trade last week, and then we hit full TP obviously right here for 50 pips. So it's the same trade that I just identified right here. It still just hasn't finished its move yet. The full move is going to be for the rest of the 100 pips right here. Some people probably held on to it and just continued. But you can see here that if you have the K2 indicators, you guys can identify these trades pretty easily. It's the same pattern over and over again, and it goes both ways. It's not just for buys. Like for example, we had a buy right here, but if you want to take it the other way, you can do it the other way as well. So for example, right here, we had that buy. Right here, we have the rejection. We have the sell signal. You can see that it broke and closed past its structure right here. If you took that sell right there, it did exactly like what we would have predicted to happen. It would push down to this next structure right here, where you could have hit full TP with like literally no drawdown. And then you can see again right here, it breaks structure. It does the same thing. Again right here, rejection, sell signal, it broke structure again right there. And then what happened from there? It went straight to the next structure down here. So that's pretty much what I see happening here for odd NZD. Unfortunately, this is kind of too late for us to enter it. I mean, we already locked in 50 pips profit off this, so we didn't necessarily miss it. We just closed out in profit for this trade already. So the next one we have up is odd USD. So this is a tricky pair because, like I mentioned, the USD should be strong, so this should continue to push down. But we're having some retracement right here. So what I might do for this is I might call like a sell stop right here for a late entry. For those who want to enter this trade late, right? I mean, the main problem with this is that it's such a small little move that it becomes a risky trade to take. But I'll mark that up. You know, if we don't have any trades available, I'll probably just call that. Let's see if there's anything else here. Cad Chf. Cad Chf over here. This is the one that I analyzed earlier for Karen. So if you want to go back and rewatch that analysis, I was mentioning that we were waiting for price to break and close past the structure so that we can take this long position right here, right? So this is something that I might take. You know, just with how the market's moving today, I might just skip it because we do have the FOMC coming up in about an hour, and it's just not worth the risk, right? Because with the Fed speaking, they're going to talk about the U.S. economy, and that could affect the CHF pair directly because the CHF usually moves opposite of the U.S. dollar. So I actually might just hold off on some trades until Asia session, guys, because it's a heavy news day today. If you guys follow the news, there was heavy U.S. news this morning that caused a lot of spikes in price. And then again, right now at 11, there's going to be the FOMC meeting minutes that are going to be released where they discuss, you know, the outlook for the U.S. economy moving forward, you know, with regard to COVID and stuff like that. But I'll just mark these up just in case. You know, if I do see anything here, if I don't see anything here, then we're just going to skip it. But let's see, CHF, this would be a sell entry right here because they're broken close past structure, but it's only 18 pips. So it's not really worth the risk. Here's our euro odd position. It's still active right now. It's on its way to full TP for 50 pips. So this is looking great so far. You know, this will cover whatever happens down here. If like UJ keeps pushing down and hits our stop loss, it's fine because we hit a win right here for euro odd. So it's I mean, it's a give or take game, right? Like trading is not always going to be smooth. It's not going to be straight wins every time. There's going to be some days where you run into manipulated markets and price is just going to be spiking back and forth. Here's our Euro USD. I think this is going to come down, so it should be fine. That should be fine. Our GA over here, no trade. GCAD over here. I don't think I called this trade. Thankfully, I didn't call it. Yeah, I didn't call this trade. Thankfully, I didn't because obviously you can see that this reversed super hard. GJ right here, we looked at that earlier. GN, there's no trade there. GU, nothing there. NCD CAD. See, thankfully, I didn't call these trades. I had trades here that were marked up for 6 a.m., but everything just ended up reversing for whatever reason, where it started to swing. But I mean, it happens, guys. Like I mentioned, you just have to manage your risk properly. Because if, you know, you're going to run into some losses sometimes, and you just have to know how to understand. You have to understand how to manage your risk so that you can eat those losses, and then you can bounce back with these wins. Like for USD CAD, we had a full TP off this. So let me see for this week how many full TPs we've got. So for this week, we have one full TP for USD CAD. We have a bunch of full TPs here for these scalps. If you guys were taking these, the DAX scalp yesterday, another one from, these are my profits from yesterday trading US 30 with those scalps that we had. We had about 3 back-to-back wins yesterday. And then we had a lot of scalp wins. We had odd NCD win right here, full TP. So like, I mean, overall guys, full TP for Euro Auto over here, on the other one. We have a bunch of TPs that are hitting, guys. So you guys have to remember that, you know, trading is it's a game of probabilities. You have to take as many trades as possible. And the more wins you have, you know, the easier it'll be for you to offset those losses, because the losses are going to happen. It's inevitable. You can't be 100% with trading. I wish I called this trade here for USD CHF. Looks like it's pushing up pretty nice. And see, this is how it's supposed to move. The US dollar is strong right now, so it's supposed to be pushing up. However, things like UJ over here, I don't understand why this is coming down, because the US dollar is strong right now. This should be pushing up. This should be pushing up. You know, USD CAD pushed up, USD CHF pushed up. Odd USD is pushing down. It just doesn't make sense to me why this is so heavily down when the Japanese yen isn't even that strong. Well, now it's starting to come down. Before, this was like super strong bullish. Like for example, if I replay this here, this was super strong bullish, and this was super bearish. So like, it confused me why this was going in the other direction, right? Because if this is how it was looking, like for example, for this right here, if the dollar index is super strong and the Japanese index is weak, this should just be pushing up. However, it's doing the complete opposite. So I don't know. We'll wait and see how this plays out. But I'm probably going to hold off on these Forex trades for the next 4-hour candle close just to prevent us from getting caught in any other whipsaws. There's not really much to take right now anyways. We wouldn't even take this trade. It's too late for that. For odd USD, this is a small little profit here if it does come down, if and when it does come down. And this would be a risky trade as well, Cad Chf. Let's check out the index for that, the Canadian index versus the Swiss franc index. Yeah, so the Canadian dollar looks strong. The Swiss index looks weak, and that's why it's pushing up. But who knows how long that's going to last for. It's just going to be a risky trade. Mama Underground said UK 100, I'm going to buy. So let me pull up UK 100 real quick. I'll just analyze that for you guys to see if it does look like a buy. But I personally would stay away from the indices right now, Underground, because we've been following the indices this morning, and it's just been a messy market overall. So just looking at this here, there's not really many zones for a UK 100. There's just like one up here and then one down here. So it actually looks pretty bearish to me overall. So let me just take a look at this right here. That right there. That right there. All right, cool. So looking at UK 100 right here, we have these zones drawn up. You can see that it was like a crazy bullish move from the 12th up until today, but it looks like it's now correcting back down, right? So it was consolidating for a very long period right here for the whole month of February. Then on February 12th, it had a bullish move, and then now it's retracing back down to where it was originally. So if we turn on the momentum indicator right here, and we still have a bullish bias, but it looks like a sell signal is probably going to appear at some point over here. So Underground, just looking at this point over here, we have the rejection from here. All we need is a sell signal. If we have a sell signal that appears, so the original movement actually happened over here, right? So we had the rejection from this point. We had the sell signal here. It actually broke structure and closed. With that said, this short would have started right here last night. So this short started to drop from this point, and it's currently in profit if you took this trade right here. And it looks like it's possibly going to continue dropping even further. So this is what I see here for UK 100. Let me go check the scalp to see if there's any entries that are available there for you. Because you said you're in a buy, so hopefully, yeah, it looks like it's a sell right here too. So I would be careful with that UK 100 Underground. So just looking at this here, there's actually a bunch of entries here for a sell. So this most recent entry looks like if this candle right here closes off this one. So if this candle right here closes, and we have the wick rejection off the pivot and the structure, then this might continue dropping from this point because it's going to provide for a sell entry right there. So if that happens, you would take a sell right there, and then you just keep riding it down from that point for like, I think the sweet spot for these scalps are about like 100 pips. So I would, I would be careful with it because, this entry hasn't filled yet. If this closes above it, then it could probably still keep pushing up. But, who knows? We'll have to wait and see how this plays out. Actually, like looking at this here, Underground, there's actually a buy entry right here. So you might be proper with that buy because right here we have the rejection of this structure right here. So this would technically be a buy entry from this point. So maybe this is what you took here. I'm not sure if this is what you took, if you saw this, or if this is what you actually looked at. It's currently in profit, but it's like at the entry point. But it's obviously the indices market has been choppy all morning today. Like if you looked at this here, this has been spiking around, like it's spiked down about 400 pips, and then from 475 pips, close to 500 pips, and then from there it spiked back up to about 300 to 400 pips, and then it spiked back down from this point. And it's just going, it's going back and forth. So like if we start from right here, spikes down, spikes up, spikes down, spikes up, spikes down, just keeps going back and forth. So it's not something that I necessarily would want to trade. Currently right now, but if you are in that buy, it looks like there's a buy scalp that is currently running at this time. So you might be fine Underground. I'm not sure where your TP's at, but I think this looks like a good spot for your TP. So your TP should be around like 67.21. I think if your TP is around that point, you should be fine, because at that point, price might push up to this structure, and then at that point, it might swing back down from here. But who knows? I mean, who knows what's going to play out from there? But looking at it from a shorter perspective, it does look like it could be a decent buy scalp if you're still in that position right there. Other than that, hopefully your guys' US 30 didn't fill for you guys who use the sell stop that I called, because for the if you guys were on this live, you guys might have taken it as a market order like I did earlier, and I closed out in profit already. But if you guys took the entry off the premium, it was a sell stop order. So this would require that you would have placed a sell stop here, because it hasn't filled yet. Price hasn't been back to entry since we called it. And I have an alert here to let me know when it does fill. So if it does fill, I'll let you know. If it doesn't, we'll probably just be canceling it. Thankfully, got out of that with some profit before it ended up spiking up like that. But anyways, let me take a look next. So Funky wants me to take a look at JUR 30. So let me pull up JUR 30 real quick. But I mean, overall, UK 100 looks like a sell. It's just pushing up right now currently for like a small little retracement. But let's go back to JUR 30. I think I analyzed it earlier. So let me see if the markets are still there. So yeah, Funky, I actually looked at JUR 30 earlier. I'm not sure if you saw my analysis, but I'll just do it from scratch again so you can see what we were looking at here. I'm not sure if that markup was from today or if that markup was from a different day, but it's all good. I'm just going to redraw everything here so that you can see my analysis once again. It doesn't take that long anyways. If you guys have the K2 indicators, you guys can draw these zones within seconds. So you can see right here, I literally just pulled up JUR 30, which is the DAX 30, and then I started marking this up, rather quickly. So once we have that drawn up, I can turn off the K2SR indicator, and this looks like a tricky little move here. Okay, so this looks a little tricky because it's like right on the line, but just looking at it from this perspective, obviously we have the rejection from this point. We have the sell signal right here. Even though it's an invalid sell, it's still a sell signal. But once price broke and closed past the structure right here, or actually, it broke and closed right here. As soon as price broke and closed past the structure, it ended up retracing back for a break and retest, and then it came back down, right? Because that's normally how it moves, guys. So like basically for this right here, if you were to see this entry right here, you'd take a short position on this candle close, and then you'd hit full TP right there, right? And then again, same situation right here, Funky, price broke and closed past the structure right here. So this could actually drop even further from this point, from there. So we still have a sell bias right here for this, but like I've been mentioning all session, the market's being heavily manipulated right now, especially for the indices. So I personally would just hold off on taking these trades, even though I do see a sell bias right here. So if you're looking for a sell on the higher time frame, it looks pretty much fine. We can take a look on the short time frame, like the 10-minute, and then we'll see how it looks like on here if there's any scalps, because I did see that Eric took some scalps earlier. So we looked at this earlier. I think Eric took his scalp here. He also took a couple scalps over here as well, where he hit TP. So I mean, you can still take these trades, but what I'm saying is that it's just really risky. Okay, so looking at the DAX over here, these are the zones that we have drawn up. There's no new zones right now. There's another zone up here, actually. Yeah, so if you were to catch these trades over here, there was actually a couple entries that were available. So like, for example, up here, if we were to replay this would have been the DAX entry right here. So we have the rejection off the pivot, rejection off the structure. And from this point over here, we would enter a short position after this close for, I think Eric said it was 200 pips, right? So for example, if you had a 200 pip TP stop loss right there and you let that run, it'd go straight to TP. But just looking at current price right now, let's go see what it's looking like currently. I don't think there's any entries available. Yeah, there's no entries available just yet. I mean, we'd have to have that rejection off the pivot in the structure somewhere around here, like that, and like that right there, and like that right there, and like that right there, right? It's a simple thing to look for. But just looking at current price right now, there's obviously no entry that's available. We're just gonna have to, wait for an entry to avail itself. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Like I mentioned, we have FOMC coming up in about an hour. So when it comes up in an hour, we're probably going to see some crazy market movement. So I'm probably going to hold off on this, Funky. Not sure what position you're in, but it does have a sell bias right here. If you want to enter a sell stop, you can enter a sell stop at this price point, and then as it swings back down, you can catch it. And then if it doesn't swing, you can always just close your position, right? So that's pretty much it for that right there. I'm gonna turn off this alert because this trade isn't active yet. If you guys took the sell stop that I posted in the premium group, it hasn't filled yet, so I'm gonna take that off right now. I just want to find out when it fills. Once it's filled, then we'll follow TP and stop loss. But until it fills, you know, there's no point in us following that trade. So that's pretty much it for. Okay, nice. Yeah. So Funky, I just saw your message. You said, is it selling? I got in at 13,858. So let me see. You got in at 13,857. Sorry. Wait, 13,857.80. Okay, there we go. Wait, 13,000. Let me move it over here. Sorry. You said it was 13,000. I mean, obviously it is in a sell bias, but I think it's just too risky to take this trade right now. 13,857. Wait, why does it? It just disappears off my chart. 13,008. Yeah, I think your pricing is like 18,857. Hey, Funky, I'm looking at price right now for the DAX. Price never got to that point. That's like super far down here. 18,000, 13,857. Yeah, so I'm not sure how you got in at that price, Funky, but price hasn't even gotten that far down yet. Am I looking at the wrong thing? 13,857. Yeah, no, your entry would have been right here. Yeah, Funky, I'm not sure how you got into the DAX that low. But price hasn't reached 13,857 yet. Price is actually way up here. So I'm not sure how you got into that position there, Funky. Unless you have a typo, you might have put a wrong number in. But I don't see, like, price has never gone down to that point. I don't think it's ever gone to that point. Let me see. Actually, so it got into that point like on February 10th. I don't know if you've been holding it since then. But it looks like you were in some massive drawdown if you got in over here. Because it's already pushed up like almost 3,000, yeah, over 3,000 pips since then. So I'm not sure if you're it was a typo. It might have been a typo because I'm hoping you get it at this price point over here because this is this heavy drawdown from that point. But yeah, Funky. I mean, if you could confirm it, I can check it, but I don't see price being down at that point for like the past 7 days, and it was only because it spiked down here. So just Matt said MT4 DAX. So let me pull up MT4 DAX. Let me see what the price is there. Because I don't think the pricing is that off. That's a huge price difference if that's what the price is on there. Let me check real quick. 13,850. Oh, no, it still hasn't gone down there. So man, I'm looking at it over here on my MT4. It hasn't gotten to 18,857 yet. It's like way down here. So I don't think she got it on MT4 either. I think it's just a typo because it's like way down here, 18,570, 18,057. So it'd be way down here. And price obviously hasn't gone down here since like the past 5 days. So I'm not sure. It might have just been a typo. Oh shoot, dang, Funky, you're crazy. So that is right. Okay. So Funky actually, yeah, that's crazy. You got in like way over here. You should never so I'm assuming you probably just saw that spike and you just chased it, right? That's what a lot of people do. So man, that's crazy, Funky. So you've been holding this for a long time. So oh man, this is crazy. Yeah, you like literally fell for that trap right here. because you can see that price was dropping and Funky actually entered right here. Look at that huge spike. Like you, yeah, that's crazy. You entered right here and it spiked up like 1,000 pips. And then I think from that point, it just literally went complete opposite on you, right? Man, that's horrible. I feel bad. I mean, yeah, hopefully it comes back down. Overall, I mean, I looked at here on the 1 hour. Overall, it's a sell, right? So it's going to come down eventually. But just looking at this here, I mean, you've been in some heavy drawdown. So if you enter that right there, you were in this trade from, geez, yeah, you're in this trade for like 7 days and you just went straight into drawdown to like the complete opposite over here until like where price currently is right now. So yeah, hopefully it comes back down for you, Funky. I mean, obviously it looks like it's going to come down, but it's just, you know, it's going to take some time before it reaches that point. So hopefully it comes down because I'm rooting for you. Hopefully your account's still fine. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, Funky said I've been holding it. I was laughing at myself. I'm just trying to know when to close it and the lowest amount loss. So I think you could just hold on to it, Funky. I mean, there's not much you can do right now. I would probably just put your stop loss at this pivot right here at like 13,944, and I would just hang on to it as it or I would just keep sliding it down, right? So you have your stop loss there, and then as the pivots continue to move down, you know, further and further, just keep sliding it down so that once you get into profit, you can just you can hang on to it as it keeps moving. But damn, if you caught that trade from way up here, Funky, you could have made a ton of profit off this one right here, because this thing is just way too it's way too heavy off that. But I mean, it happens. Not really much to do with that right there. I mean, overall it is a sell, so we'll see how it plays out, but we really don't know how it'll play out until then. Let me see. Jeremy said it's US 30. It hasn't, well, I don't know when you entered it, Jeremy. So if you entered it at market, then yeah, technically it's still active, but we put a sell stop. So it actually, if you entered it from the signals over here, where I sent out the signals, it was a sell stop order. So price was above entry when we called it. So it hasn't filled yet. If you took the actual signal. So if you took the signal, it hasn't filled yet. But if you took it at market order, then you're probably still in the trade and it's still currently active. You know, I'm hoping that it comes back down because for the people that actually enter the trade at market right here, then, you know, obviously you're like in some pretty heavy drawdown. For me earlier, if you watched my live stream when we took this trade live, I actually took it when it was up here. So I took it when it was up here. As soon as it dropped, I closed out in profit, and that's why my my US 30 position here has profit, because I closed this earlier when I started to see the market was moving kind of crazy. So I'm not sure, Jeremy, if you took it at that time or if you entered it from the signals. Because if you entered it from the signals, it's still a pending sell stop. It hasn't filled yet. I might re-enter it actually. I'm gonna put a sell stop right here, and as it comes back down, you know, obviously it'll fill my order. So I mean, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Otherwise, there's not really much to look at right now, guys. The market is just not. It's just going back and forth. There's literally no oh, fuck, don't tell me I closed my MT4. Okay, I thought I closed it. Still watching this. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for now, guys. There's not really much for us to really look at. Obviously I wanted to take some scalps today like we did yesterday, but this market is just too choppy, right? Hopefully we'll have some better luck tomorrow where we can take some like really nice scalps, because if you guys were in my live session yesterday, we actually caught a lot of good scalps throughout the day. I think, yeah, our profits showed yesterday. Let me see. I think I showed my trades the other day over here. Like, these were all the trades that I took on my own account, and everyone else kind of ate pretty nice too. So this is like my personal account. I ate off that. These are my FTMO accounts. I locked in about 1,000 yesterday off that account, 1,200, and then 1,223 the day on the my first account. So it's just you know, it's obviously just too choppy right now for us to catch those scalps right now. So I wouldn't really hold on to those or even look at the market. I would just sit out the market, just take a break, because we do have FOMC coming up in about an hour exactly now. It's 9:44 my time. FOMC comes up in about 11 a.m. So, I mean, we'll have to wait and see how everything plays out. I'm just looking at CNBC. There's no updates here, so I don't really expect any crazy movements to happen at this point. We'll just have to wait and see how the market reacts to the FOMC news in a little bit. All right, Shawn wants me to take a look at OJPY. So let's pull up OJPY real quick. Yeah, hopefully you guys aren't in that US 30 trade, because you know, if you guys have been watching the live stream, I exited that like as soon as I got the chance. As soon as it shot into profit, I was like, nope, I'm out of this trade, because it was just it's just moving around way too crazy. So Shawn, just looking at OJPY right here, we have I think it's going to drop from this point. Not necessarily drop that heavy, but I think it's going to drop like quite a bit over time, because we have the rejection off this point, we have the sell signal, and it's stuck within the zone. So it'll probably push down and test this structure right here. And then once it tests the structure, it can either reject off and shoot back up, or it can drop from this point right here. But I mean, we really don't know what's going to happen at this point, because like I mentioned with the, let me just pull up the index over here. We have the Aussie index right here, and then we have the Japanese index right here. So just looking at these right here, these are both bullish, right? So you can see for the Aussie index, this is it's pushing up, and it has a strong bullish candle right there. Same with the Japanese index. This okay, so this is going to be a little tricky right here, because the Aussie index is bullish, and then the Japanese index is also bullish, but it's still in a downtrend. So looking at this here, if the Aussie index continues to push up stronger and stronger, and this continues to push down, then we could probably just see this even push up from here. This might not even come down, because you can see this big wick right here. I see this huge wick right here. Usually you can measure the wick to see how big is it. If it's abnormal, like for example here, it's a 23 pip wick, right? When it's in an abnormal wick like that, what usually happens is, let me just move this over here. So we have an abnormal wick right here, right? 23 pips. When that happens, this usually spikes up from this point. So I would stay away from OJPY right now until there's a confirmation. Like for example, I would wait for this to close above here to take that buy, or I'd wait for it to close below here to take this sell, right? There's different ways to take these trades. This isn't an abnormal wick, because normal wick sizes right here are only like 10 pips, right? 10 pips is fine. If you get a 23 pip wick, it's probably going to reject off that point. So let me show you an example over here. So let me see this right here. This is 16 pips. It's still a little abnormal, but it's not very abnormal, right? Let me show you one over here. This is a very abnormal one. So this one right here is a 50 pip wick. So when you have this 50 pip wick right here, look what happens after that. After that 50 pip wick, it ends up shooting way up here, right? So this is a 23 pip wick. That could probably shoot up as well. But there's other confirmations, right? Like for example, here it's the bullish confirmation. We have the rejection. We have the buy signal right here. We have the breaking close patch structure right here. But on top of that, you know, there's a couple other confirmations you can look at as well. You can look at the wick. If it's a huge wick, it's probably going to skyrocket, which is what happened here. Right here, it's not a very huge wick, but it's a pretty big wick, 23 pips. If this closes right here, then it'll probably continue pushing up even higher from that point. So, I mean, this could go either way, honestly. The entire market it's just kind of all over the place this morning. So I wouldn't really want to take any like unnecessary risks, because you just don't know what's going to play out. So like, for example, like I mentioned here, I would wait for it to close above here to take that buy, or I would wait for it to close down here to take that sell. I wouldn't just enter right here, because this can literally go either way. This can shoot up from here because it has that big wick, or it can shoot down from here because we have that sell bias, right? So I would just hold off, Shawn, and just, you know, sit tight and wait for that to play out before you end up taking this trade. So the key point right here would be a breaking close past 82.295. That'd be for a buy. However, for a sell, you just wait for it to close below 81.478. And then once that happens, you can take the trade, and then you can pretty much be on your way. So that's pretty much it for OJPY right there. Other than that, I think that's about it. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat so I can answer them. I don't think I'm going to call any Forex trades right now, because, you know, like I mentioned, well, a ton of market manipulation right now. So I just I don't feel safe taking any of these trades right now because, you know, I don't want to take a trade and then it ends up doing the opposite. So our euro odd right here just hit full TP for 50 pips. So I'm going to send this update in the group. So there's another full TP right there. You know, the Forex trade's been pretty decent so far this week. Same with FTMO. I mean, with our scalps, not too horrible. So let me check this real quick. 50 full TP for euro odd right here. All right. So you can see right here, I call this euro odd position on Monday. So we had a euro odd position right here on Monday. I called that sell, and then currently right now, so like, yeah, I called that sell entry right here on what was this? February 14th at 10 p.m. Called the sell right here. Look at the chart over here. It just hit full TP, so it played out perfectly. Other than that, I think that's about it, guys. I would recommend that you guys sit tight and not, you know, not take any risky trades right now because the market is just bouncing back and forth. Until the market stabilizes, then you can take some trades. But until then, I would probably just sit tight. So we'll probably regroup at during Asia session if I'm available or if I see that the market's moving nice. Otherwise, you know, we're probably just going to sit out for most of the day. And I wouldn't take any trades right now because FOMC is in about 1 hour. So just keep in mind, you're probably going to see some crazy spikes around that time. So I think that's about it, guys. So thanks for showing up on your way out of the room. If you guys can like the stream and follow the YouTube channel, that'd be great. And then if you guys want to sit in on my mentoring sessions, just make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the YouTube and turn on notifications. That way YouTube knows that you want to watch my videos. So if they know that you want to watch my videos, whenever I go live, they'll send you an email indicating that, you know, Shawn's going live for this mentoring session. Here's a link if you want to watch it. It's completely free. You don't have to charge, you don't have to pay for anything, and we don't charge for that at all. You guys are free to sit in and watch how I mentor people one-on-one. And if you guys are interested, you can go on our website and sign up at k2trades.com right here for your free access. So other than that, guys, thanks for showing up. I'll probably meet up with you guys again later tonight if I decide to scalp in the Asia session. Otherwise, I'll be back here tomorrow morning for New York session, and we'll be catching some more scalps around that time. So until then, guys, I'll catch you guys later. And thanks for